Hello everybody, welcome to Frame Trap. Today I am joined by Michael Huber.
Hello!
And Brad Ellis.
Yo!
Dear audience, you get the boys twice in a row.
That's right.
They're on because they've been both playing Returnal. And I'm interested in getting their takes on that. But before we get going, are you excited for E3 in this moment?
Yes, and because, Ben, I think of Final Fantasy XVI, and that gets me excited.
That's
the most hyped I am. And for Breath of the Wild 2, potentially. But I've been burned on that 100 times, I feel like.
Yeah.
Love that, Brad, because I just hesitated because I couldn't think of the one game that I'm excited to see. It was blank. But you saying Final Fantasy 16, yes.
Yeah.
Excited.
We're all
Because I was looking ahead at the yearly release schedule, and there's a lot of blanks. There's a lot of room for big games to drop.
Yeah.
So hopefully E3 starts slotting those in.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, absolutely. Final Fantasy 16 is a new Final Fantasy is always one of my most anticipated, right?
Like, I'm preaching to the choir right now. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, I won't deny it.
Dude, I just want Bayonetta 3. That's all. Like, come on, man.
I know.
It's been an eternity.
At least you're getting Shin Megami
at?
Tensei, finally. Fine.
I am, yes. Yeah. That's pretty sick. That's true, Brad.
Should we say the forbidden words?
What are those?
What are the
Elden
words?
Ring?
Oh, you know what, Huber? I'm glad you... Yeah, I didn't even think about that, Huber. Yeah. I feel like I just put that in the back of my mind for so long
Totally.
now.
You put it in a box back there, and then it's like,
so when it happens, I'll just be like, oh!
Yeah.
Elden Ring is a good one to bring up, but in a weird way, that one doesn't bother me as much, because I feel like we just had the Demon Souls remake, and Sekiro doesn't feel that long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, of course,
Sekiro
it's gonna be
is
amazing.
2019, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's been
to me, 2019 doesn't feel that long ago.
2 years, yeah. I guess so. Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, man, it would be so sick if Final Fantasy 16 could come out this year.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you think 16 will be out? Do you think it'll be out before 7 Part 2?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Yeah,
got it.
I think 7 Part 2 is 2 years away.
I think that's reasonable. I think it's like a year to 2 years. Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Because, like, I don't know.
Intergrade to hold us over until then?
Yeah, I just think with 7 Remake, people expect the parts to come out. I mean, like, I remember when 7 Remake came out last year, people were, like, talking about September. Like, are we going to see Part 2? It's like, no.
No.
I think it's going to take a while to make that game. Like, I don't think it'll take 5 years or anything, but... And they're working on it already, which is great, but...
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just setting myself... Like, if it comes out earlier, great, but I'm just prepared to wait.
Yeah. I
You're
could
used to it?
see
Oh, yeah.
Square showing off Final Fantasy 16 and then it being like a spring release as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Boy, really, though, I think what would excite me even more than 16 is just any Yoko Taro project. Like, I'm really curious. Yeah.
What he's doing, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're waiting on Reincarnation as well, but...
Yeah.
You know, I mean like a full-blown console.
Yeah, his next big thing, yeah.
His next big thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder when we'll get something from him. He seems to have gotten the spotlight now, so that's good for him.
His last one was Automata?
Well, I mean, Nier Reincarnation. But yes. Cool. Yeah. He's also done, or I said Reincarnation, which is the mobile game, but Replicant, which is the remake.
Do you know the number? Replicant version?
No. I will not give him the satisfaction of memorizing the number. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction, Yoko Taro. I just call it Nier Replicant.
Yeah.
There's Reincarnation, which it hasn't been announced for, or it has been announced for the West, but we don't have a release date for it. And then there's Sinnoh Alice, which is also a mobile game. which I tried playing recently and is not very enjoyable so far. Maybe it gets better. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not digging it. I hope I like Reincarnation more than Sinnoh Alice. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk about Replicant on this podcast. I have a lot to say. But before we get into that, I'm jealous of both of you guys because both of you played Returnal.
Yeah, man.
I have to say, review copy provided by PlayStation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't forget it. Never forget it.
Yeah, no. It makes it easier if I don't forget it.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I cannot talk about a lot of the game. Just first two areas pretty much. So just a little tease or taste of the game, I should say. But
and you don't want to know much going in.
You don't want to
know. You don't want to know.
I believe that.
You don't want to know much.
It's the same thing with Nier.
Past that. Yeah, you don't want to know too much.
You don't want to know much going in.
But I can give you an idea of what the game is, because I feel like once you play it, you'll be like, oh, this is what the game is. 'Cause I didn't know what the game was until kind of recently. I didn't have a clear idea what this game was going to be like. And just to put it simply, it is a third-person shooter mixed with a roguelite, I would say.
Okay.
So you guys all know Housemarque. They've been making games for a while. They got, your Super Stardust, your Resogun, and Ex Machina. They've been kind of like smaller arcade games, I would say, but this is like, I would say, the studio's most ambitious big game, Not just in its gameplay, but it's also in its presentation. Like, this is like a big time game, You look at the graphics, you're like, oh, this is a quote-unquote PS5 game going on right here. So It's been nice to see the studio jump in that sense of, like, quality, I guess. But yeah, Hubert, I don't know how you would describe it, but to me, it follows, like, that line, like, it does a lot what you'd expect from a roguelike. You go through area, you get loot, you die, you kind of repeat, but I think what makes Returnal so great, or one of the things I think it does so great, is its combat. I think it's some of the most impressive third-person shooting I've played in a long time. Ben, I was getting, since I recently played it, I was kind of getting vibes of Vanquish going through my mind a little bit. Obviously, you're not sliding around your knees and shit and shooting robots, which is cool as fuck, but
right,
a lot of movement going on, and bullet hell action, baby. Just so like their old games. Third person, bullet hell going on. Like, it's like, I saw someone tweet, Ben. Yeah. I think it was that Skill Up. He said, playing Nier Replicant's bullet hell parts after playing Returnal, and he's just like smiling because it's so chill compared to Returnal.
Yeah,
like,
I imagine that's probably true.
It's nuts in this game. And this game demands your attention. If you slip up for a second, it could be devastating. You can just die real fast if you're not careful.
That's so true. Oh my god, Brad. Yeah, I mean, I'm like only on the second zone, and like you were saying, yeah, you can put so much time in, be so cautious. You got some equipment, you're feeling good. Your focus goes away for a second. All of a sudden, 3/4 of your health are gone. Like you're on death's door. So yeah, things can fall apart really quick.
Yeah, and so I obviously haven't had any experience with the game yet. I am excited to play it when it comes out, but what you're describing here actually makes me think of Outriders a little bit, where the times where I would get frustrated is like the enemies, like an enemy just out of nowhere would take like 3/4 of my health, and it's like, okay, all right, like that's fine, but sometimes, that can feel a little cheap, or that the game isn't giving you, ample warning. Does it feel that way here?
No,
I would say most of the time no, Ben. It is still a roguelite, so there's an element of randomness to it, but I feel like I've put a lot of time into this game now, and I feel like I have the knowledge and the tools to deal with what will come at me. Of course, sometimes maybe I'll get an enemy harder than I would like at that time or be ready for necessarily, but I feel like with the knowledge you learn and just learning the behavior of enemies, you can overcome things by sheer determination, which I guess is the thing with a lot of games, but I feel like it's not too ridiculous. Yes, this game's challenging, and it, like I said, it demands your attention, but I don't feel like it's necessarily unfair.
It's never felt cheap to me. Yeah, not
right.
At all.
It doesn't feel like...
It feels like every time I die, it's like, oh, I'm not good enough. I died.
Yeah,
So do you feel like it relies mostly on your dexterity, or is it like how well you're using your abilities? I mean, like where is...
I think it kind of a little more leans in the line of your skill, actually. Obviously, if you know what you're doing and are preparing your build for how you want to play, essentially, it can help you. Knowledge can definitely help you with like most roguelikes, knowing what each item kind of does and just learning maybe this is not a good time to get this certain thing and maybe I'll wait for this later. Like if you go to a shop, Ben, you're like, okay, I got some cash. Maybe it's not cash, but currency. Maybe I'll wait a little bit because I kind of have an idea what's coming my way. Or you're like, okay, now's the time to really spend and invest in something.
Really good balance, it feels like there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like one permanent thing you can keep on your ends called ether. And that stuff's really valuable because it can unlock items permanently to like show up in your runs. But then also this currency can be used for like upgrades. Really some other really, really good stuff. I don't want to get into all the details because like figuring that stuff out is really fun.
Sure, yeah.
But then just obviously too because every time you kill a certain amount of enemies, Brad, you get the overload or whatever. The adrenaline. Yeah, so every 3 enemies you kill, you get like
overload. You made me confused now. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's adrenaline. So every time you level up your adrenaline, you get like combat buffs, but as soon as you get hit, it resets.
Yeah.
So the better you do, the stronger you are.
Yeah. Good play.
Yeah. And Brad, you were talking about the combat just being such a highlight. I also really wanted to highlight the exploration because this is for sure. This is roguelite. So you're going on runs, like repeating. Okay, get through, get all my stuff, want to go. But like the environments are big enough and detailed enough, and there's like just kind of stuff hidden around. Where I find myself just kind of like taking a knee and just exploring each one of these environments. I'm definitely never just running through sprinting. Right. I'm always like looking around, seeing the paths where I can go.
Yeah,
really
just
fun
to give you an
exploration.
example, Ben, you could like I've spent over 40 minutes, 45 minutes just in one area, maybe even an hour in some of the later ones because the areas have so much to them and I feel like I want to explore them to get these enhancements that I feel like are super valuable. So yeah, you can spend a lot of time here. Obviously, you can rush through things, and it can make sense at later parts of the game I don't want to talk about, but you have the choice to.
That's really exciting to hear. This just also popped in my head. Another point of comparison to Outriders is that was one of my complaints and frustrations with it is I got burnt out because I really enjoyed the combat, but I felt like outside of that, there wasn't really anything grabbing me. And I didn't feel like there was much to look at in terms of environments really at all. And so the idea that you feel compelled to explore on top of, the combat grabbing your attention as much as you're saying is really good to hear.
Good lore, good environments. I definitely want to look around.
I would go so far to say I was addicted for a little bit.
Nice.
I was like literally just thinking about this game a lot. Like I think I was dreaming about it because it was just so addictive to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Getting sucked in like that is always so much fun.
I'm not a huge roguelite expert. I haven't played that many. Like, I played Hades, and I really liked Hades. I think Hades is what really captured my my imagination with it, I guess, and really sucked me in. But this game is different enough from Hades, I would say, Ben, where they feel different. They both kind of walk a similar line, but I think Returnal has a lot going on that separates it. Obviously, I can't talk about a lot of it, what I think, though. But just for one example, Ben, I can talk about is in the first area, you fight a boss, then you go into the next area. And if you die, you go back to where you started, but you don't have to fight that boss again if you don't want to. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just kind of find somewhere to get to the next level. So
gotcha.
That's kind of what I was saying about having that choice to move on if you want a lot of times.
Hades is really an interesting example because I think Hades is just a brilliantly constructed game in a lot of ways. But there were so many things that I really liked about Hades in the sense that it was really hard, but I felt like the better that I got at it, like I was never really like that skill always went somewhere. Like I could always apply that to the next run. I never felt like I like got cheated out of something. The way that they revealed the story was always interesting. I always felt like, doing a run, I was moving the story forward, or something else was kind of like coming into the fold in terms of the story, which was really nice. And there was just naturally a lot of great variety in terms of like just weapons and how that changed playstyle, not to mention, the builds with all the gods and all this stuff. And I think sometimes what turns me off of roguelikes or / roguelites is when you play it and you're like, there's something here, but it's like there's too many mechanics like immediately that I don't know what they are, and like the game isn't telling me. And of course, like figuring that stuff out is part of the fun, but I think sometimes you can be a little bit turned off when it's like, what is happening, like I think Binding of Isaac is really cool. I'm not slamming the game in any way, but there are definitely times with Binding of Isaac where it's like, what is happening?
Yeah, what? yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I feel like hopping into this, I didn't understand everything right away, which I feel like is just my personal experience with roguelites, me just kind of learning, all the items. One thing this game has is called this like the mutagen or mutation effect. Like some items, Ben, you could pick up to get like increase your max health, but there's a chance it can give you this debuff. Like let's say it'll give you a debuff, and let's say you do 30% less damage while standing still, but you can get rid of it by doing a certain task. It'll assign you like a certain almost like subquest, Ben, where it's like to get rid of this, kill 3 enemies with melee attacks or something like that.
Cool.
But like Huber said with the ether later, if you collect this ether, you can often use this ether to get rid of that negative effect, so you can just get the buff right away. So it kind of falls into this category of, yes, there's this thing here that will help me, but do I want to spend the ether to do it, or get this debuff that could be semi-chill to get rid of, or it could be kind of a pain in the ass and affect how I play quite a bit. So I feel like most what makes it good, like Hades, is you're constantly thinking about your decisions as you're going through each level.
Yes, so many decisions for sure, but never overwhelming. You'll definitely be confused at first because it's a brand new game and you're trying to learn it, and it's throwing a lot at you.
I don't want to say the wrong thing here. I'm not saying that like learning is bad. In fact, that's like my favorite thing in games is learning mechanics and having something to dig into. I just think how that's presented can, either like intimidate you or draw you in more easily. Not that the active learning is bad.
I really like if you push pause in this, there's a tutorials tab, and it's where all the tutorials end up that it's taught you so far. So it's a really easy place to find them, and then it'll have a little video too playing of kind of like what it is, description, so really clean. I was like, wait, what are these again? And it was like right there. So really good UI in terms of that.
It's funny that you mentioned that because Guilty Gear Strive does a very similar thing where when you're going through the move list, it actually has a little video of what that move does.
Yeah,
and
love
it's
that.
like, it's a really great addition.
One other thing I want to bring up is just the weapons, Ben. So instead of, starting your run and picking your weapon, you always start with a pistol, always. But as you go throughout these levels, you'll find different weapons. And by killing enemies, you essentially get weapon levels, Ben, that level up. So if you start level 1, you'll hit level 2. The next weapon you'll find will be a higher rank than your current, like, it'll be a rank 2 instead of rank 1. So you're always encouraged to kill. And 2, a lot of the weapons later on can have like permanent buffs on them. So like you'll find like, let's say you get a pistol, you start the pistol, has no like secondary stats, but you get another one, there's some secondary stats that'll increase, like they'll help you in combat some way. Maybe it'll have like a larger like clip or something like that. So you're always kind of on the lookout, 1 for, do I like this kind of weapon type, and 2, do I like these buffs or whatever enhancements on the weapon. So yes, you could play a kind of weapon you like. You could find something you like, but you're definitely encouraged to experiment around and try different things.
Yeah, and in terms of difficulty compared to other roguelites, definitely more skill focused rather than grinding out stats. Like you can play. I played at one point like over an hour and died in like some toxic sludge and retained only like a couple ether. That was my prize for an over-hour play. So I didn't get to bring like gold back and pump up my weapons or anything. I didn't unlock a new armor. Like playing through, obviously you'll unlock permanent equipment.
Yep.
But in terms of like stats and stuff, like it is for the most part a run-to-run basis. Again, there's permanent stuff you can unlock to make things better and easier, but like it's definitely geared more towards skill, so it is a very difficult game for sure.
Yeah, gotcha. Just to give you an example of Ben, I think the first upgrade you get is you unlock the ability to teleport. So there'll be like teleport stations and areas you could use now to just kind of get around through the map. Just little things to help you progress. There's some stuff blocked off that you can't get access yet, you know? You're like, okay, I cannot get this, so I need an ability later on. It kind of reminds me of just a loose term, like a Metroid, you know? I need this ability, I can't reach this yet. It's something like that. So, you know, if you die, like let's say you make a ways, you get a new ability down the line, but you die and you have to go all the way back, that new ability you got could help you on your new run in an old area.
Gotcha.
So, some sort of progression.
Something that I think is always very challenging for games where you are making decisions is you'll run into something where it's like, okay, well, this is clearly better than my other options, right? And so the variety kind of gets hamstrung by the balance of the game itself. And that can be disappointing sometimes because I of course it's always more exciting to be like, oh man, like I love the feeling in games where whatever decision you make, you'll run into situations where you wish you would have chosen the other thing. Sure. Does that happen?
There's some circumstances where I've been like, oh man, I wish I took that weapon instead for this particular moment. It'd been really nice. Because like, not only do like weapons have different stats on the map, but they also have an alt fire, which I totally forgot to bring up. So like one of them could be like a grenade launcher or something, or one could be like an electric beam or something like that. So that's also something to consider with your weapon. So it definitely is, oh man, I wish I had this weapon here, or I'm glad I took this weapon right here.
Cool.
Also, the DualSense is really crazy.
It's really good.
This is a literal game changer. This is a new way I've played shooters. I've been playing shooters my whole life. The triggers half press for aim down sights, full press for secondary fire aim down sights. So I've never really, like, I don't even think Call of Duty really had that, where it's like there's like two stages of clicking in aim. You have like your first aiming and then your second aiming. So it took a little time for me to get used to, but now it's like, wow, this is the future of shooters. These adaptive triggers.
Yeah, at first it was a little weird, but I think it feels super natural for me. And I really like it. So
now you're at a point where you don't feel like you're making a mistake of
correct
aiming the wrong way, I would imagine.
If you don't like it, you can change it. You can have a different configuration. I think you can also map the controller to however you want. Not 100% sure, but I think you can. So it's there if you want it, but I think it's really cool, and it kind of shows off the controller in a cool way.
Yeah.
Tell me, I know you can't talk about much, but tell me about the story, because from what I've seen in the trailers, the story and kind of the mystery that they're building up has been just as interesting to me as a lot of the gameplay stuff.
It's a mystery. I'm really cautious about talking about it at all, but I will say how it's kind of delivered in like a fragmented way of like brief flashes a lot of time, and there's like text logs and stuff like that, and you can learn more. It's not presented in the most like approachable, like, you know, maybe it's not so straightforward, I would say, but if you kind of go down the rabbit hole and you really invest in it, I think it's really sick, actually. But I'm worried about talking about a lot of it.
Yeah, I'm not very far, so don't worry about spoilers from me. I will say, coming from Outriders, we've been bringing that up a lot.
Yeah.
I really liked the data logs in Outriders. They were really dry, but like really informative and neat. I really liked them. I'm not really feeling these ones. It'll be like, oh, here's this creature, and it just kind of like tells you a little bit about it, but not in an interesting way. But all of like the main storyline and like lore is incredible from what I've seen. I just didn't really like the like, you know, here's what this enemy is, or like here's what this resource is. That stuff was kind of
Ben, I would say the vibe is, and I think they said this, it's kind of like the vibe of the game is kind of like an atmosphere of like Alien and Prometheus, kind of how it's set up, and like that kind of like the vibe it gives me is like that. So I think you will enjoy it. I know you.
I know you like stuff like that. I do.
But yeah, like I said,
I
don't really want to talk too much about it, because
I understand. I will have a similar issue describing Nier, so I get it. But I think part of the reason that I bring it up is, and I honestly just think a lot of games are straight up bad at this, is having additional lore and then putting it in the game in a way that really works with the flow of the game, if that makes sense. Because I think what is frustrating about Outrider, like where you want to be is you want to be so invested in the world and you want to be so interested in the story that you're like hungrily consuming any extra stuff. Like you're excited.
Like Resident Evil.
Yeah, you're excited to go into the menu and figure it out. But like it's so annoying where you have those games where you're like trying to read something and then like an enemy comes and attacks you, and it's like, wait, why?
I cannot fault anyone for not reading the stuff in Outriders. Like it's so dry. There's got to be a better way, Ben, to like marry these ideas of like, here's the story we're telling. Here's the context. How can we marry that stuff better?
Yeah, I think how you incorporate that stuff and how it blends with the story that's kind of shoved in your face is super, super, super important. And I don't think a lot of games are great at it.
Sure.
And so I guess what I want to mean here is like, is the game, you know, even outside the extra stuff, is the game doing a good job of investing you and making you care about the world and the characters and all that sort of thing?
I am invested, but I can't talk about a lot why.
Okay.
I think what is presented is interesting enough, and based off those two levels, I think it's interesting enough that I wanted to learn more and go down the rabbit hole.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hooked.
Both of your responses have made me like, I can't wait to play this. I thought it looked interesting before. You know, I definitely thought it looked cool, but now I'm really excited. Yeah.
Man, you're gonna love this game.
Okay. Yeah, if you liked any past Housemarque games, you know, I think you're gonna really like this game.
There's like that shade of Doom in there too, Ben, because like some enemies will have like a shield or something, and it's like, oh shit, I gotta take care of that, but I can't get over there. I gotta do that. You know, that like battle vibe
moments of priority. You're like, oh shit. Some sense of urgency, I guess.
If it's anything like Doom Eternal, like Doom Eternal is some of my favorite combat of any genre. Yeah, so
this combat's sick. It's cool.
Yeah, you're not ripping heads off and shit. I'll tell you that.
Sure.
But it's really fun.
That's fine.
I really like it.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's talk about Nier Replicant. The new Nier Replicant. We are. I feel like it is important to say this, but also to qualify it, because, you know, I'm still in the honeymoon phase. But as of right now, as we're recording this, I feel like this is one of my favorite games of all time. Like it's a 10 in my heart kind of game.
Wow.
And I played Nier Gestalt in 2017, and I loved it then too. Back then, I only played through the A ending. At the time, but now I've gone through and I've done A through D, which was in the original game, and they've also added ending E, and this is exactly the kind of game that should be remastered and remade, and it makes me so excited that it's being introduced to this whole new audience, because you go, and I did, you go back and you play the original Nier. I did it for the sake of comparison, and it's like, holy shit, like this,
right?
You know, I think if you just look at Nier Replicant kind of on its own, and you're like, oh, it looks whatever, but if you compare it to the original game, it's night and day, and more importantly, it just, the performance is so much better, and the controls are so much better.
I can remember Brad, you just played that original one a few years ago, right? And I remember you saying, like, it plays like shit, but I love it. Like,
yeah. I think that game was rough around the edges, but I still like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like I said, I enjoyed it in 2017, but this has given me a much deeper and better appreciation for it as well. And before I think I get kind of into the nuts and bolts, I think it's important to emphasize, like, not only is the re-release kind of transformative on a functional level, but they add new stuff into the game that just was not there before.
Yeah,
so like I said, there's a brand new ending, and there's a whole new sequence in the game, and that new sequence, I think, especially once you see it in different ways as you go through the different endings, I think is really emotionally very strong and a very, very, very good story. And
good bondsman.
Some of the best bonds.
Yeah, there's bonds. I remember all right.
Yeah.
The you and the internet are gonna hate me, but because I didn't really catch on for the automata. Every time I saw this game, I was like, probably a skip, you know, like, oh, it looks cool, but like,
I get it.
I won't make. Every time I've seen this now, though, and hearing you say it's one of your favorite games of all time, this game immediately shot up on my radar, Ben.
I saw a recent era post that really, I think, nails the differences between Automata and Replicant for me. And I don't even think necessarily one is better than the other, but they said, you know, Automata is sort of more driven by themes, and Replicant is more driven by character. And I really agree with that. And I think just in general, when it comes to storytelling, I find myself latching onto and caring more about characters and their growth and their personal stories more than I end up caring about the overall story. Not that, of course, isn't important, right, or great. It's just what I notice myself responding to more deeply. And the characters in this game are just unreal. And like every single one of them, especially of the core cast, has so much going on. And as you learn that, they just become people you generally, they become fully fledged people that you care really deeply about. And it's one of those experiences where after you get through it, you think to yourself, I wish characters in other games could have this much nuance to them. I wish characters in other games could have this much going on. And it takes a long time to see all that stuff. And it's something, it's something that I talk about in the review. Like, if anybody came up to me and they're like, I thought Nier was cool, but like I couldn't get through all of it. It's like, I get it. Like, I'm not mad at you. Like, if you want to get all the endings, it takes a very long time. You will replay a lot of the same stuff. There are definitely things that soften that blow. I'm not sitting here saying it's strictly the same, but you have to get all 33 weapons. Like, you really, it's definitely a grind in some ways. Yeah.
Wow.
And,
I didn't expect that, because it is, because that's not the case for Automata, right? You just keep beating it.
No,
you just beat it a bunch of times.
It's definitely comparable to Automata, but I would say it's more of a grind here, because in Automata, as you're going through the endings, you're playing as different characters.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that helps soften the blow.
Totally.
In a way that is not the same here. And so I definitely think this is more of a grind. It's been a while since I've played Automata, but it's more of a grind here.
Did you ever feel the grind though, Ben?
Absolutely.
You felt it.
Yes.
You felt it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hesitation.
Yeah.
No
hesitation. No, this game is a pain in the ass, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
No, this game is a giant pain in the ass. But what I love about it being the pain in the ass, and the review is so frustrating because I am speaking about things and I'm going into as much detail as I can go, and I'll do the same here. What I love about it is even the worst moments of Nier, even the moments that I feel like were the biggest pain in the ass, the story kind of comes back around and justifies it, and justifies it in a really powerful way, and justifies it in a way where it was like, I'm not even mad that you made me do all that stuff. Like
payoffs,
awesome.
Huber.
Yeah, the
Love it.
The
Love
payoffs are really huge.
Huber's favorite thing, payoffs.
Yeah, and bonds.
Bonds and payoffs.
And-
This game, dude. This game, Ben.
Yeah, it's really incredible. But it's super misleading. Like, you know, you play it, you'll spend hours in it, and you might think to yourself, like, oh,
What
this
the
is...
hell am I doing?
Well, you'll think, like, oh, this is just, like, you know, a normal sort of fantasy-inspired role-playing game where you're running around doing fetch quests and you're trying to take on a big evil person, and you run around killing sheep and getting meat, and it's like, okay, that's not what this is. Like, it definitely seems like that's what this is, but it will pull the rug out from under you kind of time and time and time again. And it's certainly a meta story, and I always feel hesitant to kind of say that, because I think when you say that, it sort of puts a certain expectation on people who are like, oh, you know, it has a gimmick, or like it's a commentary on video games themselves, and it just feels like a little pretentious. But I think the way in which it's meta here really serves the story and the characters, and again feels deeply personal. It's not just like, oh, cool gimmick. You know, I think it really ends up emotionally resonating in a super strong way. And like the feeling that I had, Huber, and I love this feeling when it comes to games, and there are definitely plenty of times where I will wrap up a big review and I'm like, thank God that's over. And I felt that with Nier. I'm like, thank God that's over, but like I miss it now. Like I just want to keep playing it.
Yeah.
And I've played so much of it. Yeah. And just because I think when you're that attached, you know, and you feel this way when you watch like a great TV show and the season ends or something, you know, and you're so in love with those characters.
Persona 5, dude. I was just like, 100 hours, I need more. Don't leave me. Don't leave me, Phantom Thieves.
But I think the thing that's really cool is I honestly don't think it's just, you know, the story or just the characters that make this game so special. It is the game, how you play it is constantly shifting as well. You know, the bosses are, I think, very visually spectacular, and they kind of come with their own unique mechanics that make them kind of stand out and feel pretty impactful. If you're running around doing a lot of the side quests and getting all the weapons and stuff, you will become extremely strong if you're playing on normal. But, you know, even so, I think like when the game will just entirely switch genres on you for periods of time, and you're like, what is even happening? And that stuff is really cool. And I think, Hubert, you know, like a lot of JRPG stories get like really out there, and sometimes they can feel kind of like cheesy as a result. I think what's cool about Nier is the story is definitely out there, and it's definitely very weird, but because the game morphs so much and changes shape so much, it kind of makes it easier to buy into the weirdness. You know, a lot of times you'll be playing a game and it'll get weird, but like the gameplay won't change at all. Like the gameplay will be exactly the same. You know, you might just be doing like turn-based battles over and over again. Here, I think it makes what it's trying to say more effective, because it feels like the whole game is changing, you know, not just what the cutscenes that it's spitting out at you.
It's cool. I can imagine that, just like, you know, you're chopping someone up and they fly away, and then all of a sudden you're doing a space flying game. Automata had stuff like that. I remember.
Exactly. Yeah.
So cool. So it's just like you can lean into that like adrenaline of like, oh, now we're in a chase scene. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, and I always think it's awesome And I think a lot of games that really resonate with me have this attribute, like Bayonetta comes to mind, where it's like, dude, I don't know what you're going to throw at me. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I love that. I think especially it's something that you're going to spend dozens of hours in. That's a good feeling to have. Yeah.
Ben, I think this might be interesting to bring up with Huber here, because I don't think he knows is the protagonist during this version, or this game, is different from the version we got originally.
Right. Yeah.
Oh. But it's the same game.
Yes.
Technically.
Yes. So the way that they did it in Japan is they had two versions of it. So they had Nier Gestalt on the 360, and they had Nier Replicant on the PS3. And in Nier Gestalt, so a character of great importance is a character named Yona. And in Gestalt, she is your daughter. In Replicant, she is your sister, and you are younger. Here, we never got Replicant. We only got Gestalt as an option originally. So you could only play as Papa Nier. And so now you're playing as Brother Nier. And it's actually interesting because in the preview, I was like, yeah, I think I like Papa Nier better. Not that Brother Nier was bad, but because, he's just a little bit more naive. He's just younger. It's just, I kind of liked just the dour, kind of more serious nature of Papa Nier, just kind of this big ugly oaf that I thought was really lovable. But now having, gone through everything, Brother Nier really grew on me tremendously. He, don't want to say too much, but he really goes on a journey of maturity, and he definitely changes dramatically versus kind of how you originally see him.
So the one with the dad.
Yeah.
So this game though is basically a remake of the one with the brother.
It is a remake of the one with the brother, but it is still
incorporating that stuff.
It's not like they were totally different games. It was like this version. We switched this thing out. You just changed kind of the relationship.
Cool.
But they were still the same game, more or less. You know what I mean?
Okay. Got it.
It wasn't like, if you played Nier Replicant, you were getting like a totally different game.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not missing out with this remake.
Well, now you have access to both.
Got it.
Like, Huber, if you ever want to go back, I got you, dude.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Got you.
Nice. It's a cool box.
It's something, Huber, like, there's already enough to worry about with Nier. Like, don't sweat
stress.
that.
Don't sweat it.
Yeah, don't sweat
no
that.
stress.
Yeah.
No sweat at all.
I know there's a lot of Papa Nier fans, and rightfully so. But no, Brother Nier is pretty good. Last thing that I want to say, and what really shot me through the moon with this game is the new ending. Of course, I will not go into any sort of detail at all. But what I will say about the new ending is it feels really purposeful, and I feel like it kind of challenges what came before it, and I love that. I love when a new version of a game can come out and it adds something that really gives you a lot to chew on and sink your teeth in, and it isn't just like a back of the box feature, but really feels pretty essential to the experience.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
With a purpose.
Yeah, I'm stoked to play it.
Yeah, it's one of those games though that, like, I love it to pieces, but it feels hard to recommend. You definitely have to be very patient with it for sure. It demands a lot of that. On the other end of the spectrum, though, tell me about Shadow Man, Huber.
Shadow Man.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear about this.
So, I used to have a Shadow Man poster in my bedroom from a Nintendo Power. Just thought it was really cool. This is a game that I originally played on Nintendo 64 as a young lad, and could never get very far.
Hard game.
This and Glover, the most confusing N64 games I've ever played.
Dude, I hated Glover. I hated it. I know there are like huge Glover fans out there, but I don't like that game. I mean, it's been an eternity since I played it, but yeah.
I did not like it Shadow Man, on the other hand, I really, really liked. It was just hard. It does not hold your hand. It's just a very confusing game. But this remaster, actually, this is from the people who just did like the Turok remaster. Like the next to Blue Point, honestly, best in the biz.
And what a like, not a game that I would expect to get re-released. You know what I mean?
Totally. Kind of came out of
Shadow
nowhere.
Man?
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. But so basically, you're trying to like come up with the plot, telling you the plot of this game. There's a lot. I really want to highlight the one takeaway that actually really holds up. And in fact, when I streamed it, you can watch a stream of it. I streamed a little bit of it. I was just so impressed with the story and the voice acting. This game came out August of '99. And the VO just felt so ahead of its time. We were engrossed. Like, I'm super invested. It's Night Dive Studios did the remaster, in case you're
okay.
wondering.
I think they did Doom 64 as well.
Yep, Doom 64, just the
Which
best
they did a great
in the
job
biz.
in.
Yeah, incredible. But yeah, you are, like, the game starts out with a flashback of, like, Jack the Ripper talking to this guy named Legion, who is like, we are Legion. You, like, Jack the Ripper basically, like, commits suicide to, like, join this guy's army. And then in the present day, we are Michael Leroux, aka the Shadow Man, a lineage of voodoo warriors who protect the world of the living from threats crossing over from dead side. And that was really funny because the whole point of the game is to there's a prophetic dream that Legion is preparing to usher in the apocalypse by claiming the Dark Souls.
Oh shit.
So they kept saying Dark Souls like so many times in the beginning of the game. They're like, we must find the Dark Souls. And it's like, yo, Miyazaki, dude.
Yeah, watch
fan.
there be like some like crazy connection. Like 10 years from now. Yeah.
Miyazaki's a big fan.
But shout out to the remaster. Just looks so great for a 22-year-old game, but also looks not compromised. Like the original look and feel and vibe is intact, while also just being touched up, looking clean, looking nice. Controller or mouse and keyboard, as you see fit, but still a very confusing game. Very, very
Easy to get lost.
confusing of like, I don't know where I'm going. I need to find these things. You'll walk up to things that you're supposed to interact with and it won't tell you at all that you can even interact with it. Does not hold your hand. Just a very old school 3D action adventure puzzle platform. It's got all of that in there. But just a really cool like history lesson too of like 3D games in the late 90s, like kind of early origins.
Pretty early 3D stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome, Huber, because like this is exactly what I want, and I feel like it's the same case with Nier, right? Where it's bringing it back in the conversation, and there is a 0% chance that we would be talking about Shadow Man right now were it not for this remaster, and I think that is so cool.
It's the best.
But I also feel like it's an embarrassment of riches where there's so much out there right now that I'm trying to play that I am really invested in, and I just don't have any nostalgia for Shadow Man. I saw ads for it in gaming magazines back in the day, but I never played it. And so it's like, is it good enough to like carve out the time for?
I think it's definitely worth playing a bit. It's long and hard, so I don't know if you're going to have the 15 to 20 hours to sink in to finish this game. But I honestly encourage people to at least dip their toe in. This is a piece of gaming history. It's just a little confusing, but I definitely think it's worth hopping into.
Worth a visit.
It is. I really do think it's worth a visit. Like, this would be a cool franchise to bring back. I know there's a sequel on PS2. I never played that one. I don't know if it's well received or not.
I had no idea there was a sequel. Okay.
Yeah, there was another one. But this original, it had a soft spot for me growing up, and it was cool to just revisit that time. And I'd say it still holds up, honestly.
Cool.
It's just very not hand-holdy.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the difficulty a little bit.
Yeah.
What is it so much that really emphasizes the difficulty? Is it just like you take a shit ton of damage? Is it...
It's just level design. It's like, where the hell am I going? There's like a place to go up there, but then down there. It's just that old level design of like, there's like 3 or 4 ways to go that then go into other areas, and then I don't know where I am. I don't even know how to go back to that place to find the other places I could have gone. Like,
you and I have talked about this before, but I felt the same way about Turok, where it's just like the difficulty is, where the hell do I go? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, do games used to be just harder? Like, I don't know. Like,
some ways,
is it just level design? Level design is a little more forgiving in the sense of like Yellow on the Wall, Last of Us style. Like, go over this way.
Well,
I don't know.
Did games used to be harder? Yes, but sometimes I also feel like they could just be cryptic out of nowhere. Where it's
I think it's cryptic, dude. Yeah. That's the perfect word. Games used to be more cryptic.
And cryptic is not like a strictly bad thing. Like, sometimes you can be cryptic and fascinating and cool, but it's always that moment where you're like, okay, I'm stuck, and then you look it up and you're like, I never would have thought to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't even like on the table for me in terms of options mentally. And I think that's where it gets a little frustrating. But, there's a charm in that too. And it's nice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
That, we're not just reliant on game magazines or strategy guides anymore. That if you run into a problem, there's a zillion playthroughs on YouTube that you can just immediately pop up and look at. So
yeah, but yeah, Shadow Man, cool game, great remaster.
Cool, very cool.
I love the point.
Yeah, finger guns there for Shadow Man at the end.
Yeah.
He's got a gun, dude, like a demon type gun pistol thing. It's cool. It's really cool.
Like shit, it just slipped my mind. Shadows of the Dam, dude.
Shadows of the Dam, dude.
Dude, I
shades of Shadow Man in Shadows of the Damned a little bit.
I love Shadows of the Damned, and
me too.
I was doing soundtrack club with Blood, and he did not like the game.
What,
and
are you
it hurt
surprised
me.
by that?
No.
Yeah, he hates it.
The main character going like, taste my big boner is not something that Blood would be into.
Garcia fucking Hotspur.
Yeah.
I heard Blood say that. I was like, oh yeah, of course.
That's a game they should re-release.
Dude.
They re-release Shadows of the Dam. I'm jumping in, man. Let's go.
Ben, I feel like it's coming. We've got Vanquish Brad just played. Didn't they re-release Binary Domain as well?
No.
Or no?
No.
Okay, those two.
That'd be sick, though.
Those two we need.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because I feel like they re-released some
They
other
did.
stuff.
They re-released Vanquish and Bayonetta.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Binary Domain and
Shadows of the Damned,
next.
man.
Yes,
I'd be into it.
Or like Asura's Wrath.
Yes.
I never played the DLC, so technically I never beat the game, I guess.
Dude,
right?
yeah, that's the thing. So I love Asura's Wrath, and it's insane, but one of the worst DLC moves of all time, where they literally like cut out the ending and made you pay for it. And you absolutely want to see that ending. Yeah, it's rough.
Can you imagine if they tried to pull that shit now with games, dude? I
Yeah,
feel like just in this short amount of time since Asura's Wrath, like that would not fly.
It's amazing that they got away with it, and I think it was like this combination of the people that liked Asura's Wrath really, really loved it.
They were just like, whatever.
And also, like,
take my money.
Almost no one played it. So I think the combination of those two things like made it okay. But dude, man, Huber, Asura's Wrath. That might be
Wrath.
something for like a
Easy
stream with
living.
some. Yeah.
I've never played it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
it's a good one to watch too, Brad. I would
'cause
watch
is it
then
quick
play
time
that.
heavy?
Yeah,
I would say it's better to watch than it is to play. And I love that game. Yeah. Yeah. No, that game, we would have a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of laughs and a lot of excitement. It'd be a good time.
We got to do it.
Yeah,
we
Asura's
gotta
Wrath
do it
is
now.
cool. All right, so it's time for that show. We take a little break in the game impressions, just mix it up a little bit. I'm naming this section something new. So for the HOTTAKE, you got the explosive moment, the climax. This is the SIZZLE, man.
Ooh.
This is the thing before the HOTTAKE. This is the thing to just kind of whet your appetite.
I like
That's what the
sizzle.
SIZZLE is. And I want you both, I'm going to throw a question at you, a sizzling question. What is a game to you that was so bad that it hurts you to think about? A game that you've like walled off in your mind.
Okay, I haven't played it in a long time, but I remember playing Tenchu 4 on the Wii, and I just hated it. I was
What's
so
that
sad.
one called?
I think it might be Tenchu 4.
Okay.
It was on the Wii, and I remember like using motion controls in it, and I just hated it at the time. Tenchu Shadow Cells? That can't be right. Whatever, but Tenchu on Wii. I think maybe
it's
it's
fine.
a remake.
Don't
But
worry
yeah,
about it.
I was very disappointed by that game at the time.
I had a I had a calendar in my room, a countdown to the release.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Every day I woke up, I would X one day closer. Superman 64.
Oh,
Boom.
yeah.
I grew up loving Batman mainly, but also Superman. And like this was at the height of Batman and Superman animated series at the time this game came out.
Yeah.
So my hype was just the most possible I could be hyped. Like every day was a struggle. I would call and be like, are you going to get it early? Like I needed Superman 64 so bad. And then you're flying through rings. And I said, what the hell is this game?
Yeah.
And it was just
With a
like
time limit.
sad. It was just sad. Like it was just so
Yeah.
boring. I can remember that first like couple hours and then just setting it down and just being like, damn.
I feel really bad for you because I was not that way with it. Like I wasn't counting on the days, but I liked, of course, Superman, the animated series. And I remember renting it, and like that has to be one of the worst feeling games of all time. Like it just controls like
Yeah.
absolute dog shit.
Devastating.
Not- Oh, it's not fun. Yeah, I don't even think I could get past the rings because of how terrible it controlled. Yeah.
Then a newer one. I wasn't. This one I'm gonna throw out here because it's coming back around with a newer release coming up. I wasn't watching it like every day hyped, but I had so much hope for the Platinum Games Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Oh,
And
sure.
it ended up being
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Out of the Shadows, maybe it
Well,
was.
the TMNT, the remake as well. Turtles in Time remake wasn't that
Yep.
disappointing?
De-shelled or whatever. Yeah. Garbage. But the Platinum one was supposed to be like, yo, modern day Platinum Games.
Yeah.
This is a match made in heaven.
Right,
Like
right.
revival of the Turtles beat 'em up. And it was just not good.
Oh, it was super.
So, yeah.
It was super boring. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one stings. I think about it.
Huber, because the easy one for me to bring up is Duke Nukem Forever, but I feel like I've talked about that before, and I've talked about this one before, but you made me think of it because I was so looking forward to this. I couldn't wait. Heavy metal, like I adore heavy metal. It's like my second passion after video games. I love it so much. And like they were getting all these names, all this talent, and the soundtrack was going to be amazing. I was there day one with that game. And like, I don't think it's like the worst thing ever or anything, but I was so disappointed in Brutal Legend, dude.
Yep.
I really thought like I was gonna love that game, and it really wasn't what I wanted it to be.
I'm glad I just rented it.
Yeah,
because I remember it not being what I expected it to be.
Wow, I am shocked. So I expected, Ben, because I didn't like it either. I played Brutal Legend and fell off after like 4 or 5 hours. I was like, I'm good. 82% Metacritic, wow. Brutal Legend. Who knew? Critical darling.
I don't understand that.
82 different on era. 88 reviews. Wow.
I thought
even an 8.0 user score for Brutal Legend. I thought people didn't like Brutal Legend.
I don't know.
I think the people who
all
really
I can tell you.
Yeah, because I didn't like it too, Ben. I was like, oh yeah, this is. I thought it was just like not bad but not good, so it was in that middle line of like this is just boring. I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, it was so many things. Like like Psychonauts is a legit, deeply funny game. Like it's so funny. I didn't think Brutal Legend was like funny at all. Really, I mean, it's it's an ancient memory at this point, but I didn't like the story. I didn't like the gameplay. Like it was just like a multifaceted disappointment for me. Yeah, bummer, man.
Yep.
Absolute bummer.
Ben, do you ever go back and watch that first Duke Nukem Forever trailer?
I mean, I haven't seen it in forever, but I
one of my all-time favorites,
that
dude.
That trailer was pretty awesome.
I watch that trailer every couple years, just to remember the mood and the vibes and like the hype and anticipation when Duke Nukem Forever was like gonna be a thing, and then obviously like delays and rebooting and whatever. But that first trailer is so good,
dude. Okay, so Duke Nukem Forever is absolutely one of those games that I finished and I should not have. That is time I will never get back. It wasn't worth it. Like, I had to know, right? Because it was, the game, the cursed game that would never come out. I was so curious.
Had to know. You had to see the credits.
Should not have finished it. Absolutely a huge mistake. I had forgot that there's DLC for that game.
What?
There's 2, story DLCs, I believe, for Duke Nukem Forever. Because, Matthew Matosis, I think, just did a couple of videos on them.
I'm playing. I'm reinstalling.
And that's the thing. I was like... I feel like I have to finish the fight.
Yeah, same.
Even
I don't know why.
I should. Yeah, I feel like
fuck the fight.
I committed. I feel like I committed too much time now.
Run.
It's like like the gambler's fallacy. Yeah, I think there's 2 story.
Dr. Proton from the original Duke Nukem comes back apparently.
That's how they get Huber. From the originals back.
The other one is like the other DLC.
Okay.
There's just the one. There's just the one story one.
Yeah. It looks like there's other things, but it seems like the Doctor Who Cloned Me is the story-driven one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
GameSpy rated it 1.5 out of 5.
Dude, that DLC came out way later. Crazy.
Built from the ground up.
Wild.
Yeah. What an era.
Well, wild, it was like 6 months later. That's not that. That's not that much later. Yeah.
I thought you meant like a year
like that's
and a
normal.
half.
Oh yeah, my bad. I was looking at the wrong number. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
6 months. Okay.
No worries. But yeah, Hubert, maybe you and I together should do that. That might be the way to handle.
Yeah, because I did the Duke Nukem in Bulletstorm one that came out.
Oh, was that good?
A year or 2 ago. It was fun. Okay. It was fun because Bulletstorm is a good game.
Yes, it is. So I really like Bulletstorm. I feel like Bulletstorm has completely been forgotten, but I really liked it at the time.
Yeah. Well, now that with Outriders,
they did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and with Outriders coming out, people have been kind of talking about it.
Oh, sure, going back.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about doing a replay of it because I really liked it, and I want to check out the Duke stuff.
Worth it.
And isn't there more new stuff besides just the Duke thing, or is there not?
I don't think so, but maybe don't quote me on that. Okay. But I don't remember if there was.
This sizzle is brought to you by some wonderful shout out tier patrons.
Like fajitas.
Yeah, dude, I love that when it comes out.
Yeah,
the fajitas and the sizzle. Yeah. Now I want some fucking fajitas, dude.
It's a showpiece.
It's a showpiece.
Yeah, it is.
Brought out to you by some wonderful shout-out to your patrons. If you want to find out more, go to patreon.com/easyallies, where you can sign up and be shout-out on all of our various podcasts. We have quite a few. I think in honor of the sizzle, if you guys want to do a shout-out and then your best sizzle after I get done reading the names. So shout-out to Elthanas, Greg TheDarkKnight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, Nick, Stephen Thomason, Edsgar, So I'm a Spider, So What, Sage Mode Q, Alex AI, and this last one, Blood told me how to pronounce it, and I forgot. Let me look real quick. Esdoccal. Shout out! Good sizzle.
That's fun.
Good sizzle.
That is so fun.
All right, what should we talk about next? We're gonna do a spoiler mode on it, so we're not gonna go into too much detail. But I watched all of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Huber, you watched all of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Cool. Let's not spoil it and talk about it.
Yes.
Straight up.
Yes.
Don't be afraid. Don't be alarmed.
Don't be
I haven't seen it.
Don't be alarmed, or the audience.
No, the audience.
Oh,
the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, spoilers nowadays. I feel like
Just
we can never really
people
talk
have
about
different
anything.
levels.
People have different
being
levels of
aware.
spoilers. If
I
you
know.
don't want to
Talk
hear
about the
us,
show.
if you don't want to hear
Yeah.
this, there's timestamps right in the description. You can skip right past this. It's pretty easy. I mean,
I just feel like I've lived long enough to see myself become the villain because over the last couple months, everyone is just calling me a spoiler, and it's like, can we not talk about anying anymore?
right.
Like,
I mean, we're going to talk about the show,
yeah.
So we will be talking about elements of the show. We will try our best to avoid anything that we consider spoilers. It's different for everybody.
Yes.
That's how it goes. You're not going to please everybody, man.
Cover your bases.
Yeah. I really liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Although I thought it was slightly uneven. I thought there were really, really high highs, but a couple things fell flat.
Really interesting.
But
just to bounce off of you. So I watched this with my wife. We were completely infatuated with it. I would say episodes 1 through 5, we were like, this is awesome. This is like one of our favorite Marvel things. We're so into this. We love so much of what this is doing, and we'll get into those positive qualities. And then episode 6, we were like, that felt weird. That felt a little rushed. Okay. I wasn't angry at it, but it wasn't as good. The storytelling didn't seem as smooth as it had up to that point.
I thought Sam Wilson throughout was a 1,000 out of 10, and I wouldn't have changed one sentence from Sam Wilson. Flawless in my mind. As was another character that he gets to interact with multiple times.
I think I know who you're talking about.
That is the best.
Yes, their interactions are easily a highlight of the show.
Like, one of my favorite scenes
highlight.
in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe was in one of the episodes in there. Yeah.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
dude, we're just we're not going
dancing around.
This is the hardest dance that you could do. Bucky has an interaction with a character, and that is also extremely good and emotional. Somebody who is caught up kind of in his past.
Totally.
Not a major character, but yeah, I would say, so Huber, after Endgame, and kind of going into WandaVision and going into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was like, dude, like, Marvel has a tough road ahead of them. Like, how are you going to top Robert Downey Jr. as Captain America? How are you going to top Chris Evans as Captain America? And so on and so forth. And, like, with both Wanda and Sam Wilson and Bucky, like, I love them all just as much. Like, they're so great, particularly the dynamic between them, the two of them, how they play off of each other. Like, when Bucky is hanging out at Sam's home, it's the best vibes ever. It's great.
The best.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Ship
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
Straight up, ship it.
Do you
Like,
mean,
they
like,
better.
ship them as a couple?
I love them
Or-
together.
okay. Yes, I do too. I do too. Yeah.
I'm obsessed. I am on that train all day. Let's go.
Yeah.
But like you said, Ben, just excited for a lot of these characters to show back up in the movies because it's all about time. It's all about investing with these characters and having the time with them. Mm-hmm. And now with these TV shows, we're just getting more time to connect with each of them. You know, we have so much more freedom on the TV side.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting. I hope the movies, like in the future, are like the big set piece action things, and then the TV, it's like, let's just get like, give me the emotions and the drama. Like I'm here for the banking scenes and like the prowling around at home scenes.
Yeah.
Above the action. Like I just want to see these characters living and talking.
Huber. So in comparison to WandaVision, which, you know, is by design, you know, meant to be very quirky and weird and misleading and kind of like you're unraveling WandaVision, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier is just like there are some incredible. It's like high octane action and like one of the most violent things the MCU has done. I mean, there are moments in this where I'm like, I cannot believe that they just did that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting.
Violence.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've talked about it before, but I think that's a huge strength of the MCU is how it is able to shift around so well.
Totally.
And I just have to say, like, shout out to Zemo. Oh my God. Like,
I know.
I thought he was kind of whatever in Winter Soldier or Civil War. Excuse me, not Winter Soldier.
Oh, I love him in Civil War.
It's not that I think
a man revenging his family though, and it's Huber bait. It's Huber bait.
I'm not saying that he's like terrible, but I just wasn't like, oh my God, you know, it wasn't like a Thanos for me. But here in this, he steals every scene that he's in. It's amazing.
Truly.
He's so good.
Just fun to watch.
And I think he really justifies where he's coming from and explains it really well and adds a good dynamic to it. You know, he doesn't just come across as this 1-bit, 2-bit villain, you know.
Yeah. Agreed.
Very, very good.
Really liked the Sam Wilson Falcon combat.
Oh, yeah.
Really creative stuff with Falcon, dude. Doing sick shit.
Yes. Dude.
So cool. So many cool. Oh my. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah. There's a scene that I want to reference in the last episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what he is. So sick.
It's so sick.
So fucking sick, dude. I can't even. It's like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's so
also,
cool.
and I know, obviously, Huber, that you've always been a big fan of this character, but for me, Bucky is now one of, if not my favorite MCU characters. Like,
oh hell yeah! I haven't even seen this show, and he was one of my favorites.
He is so good in this show, dude. And yeah, Sam Wilson. Like, you know, I think Sam Wilson was always likable, but just the two of them, they just get propelled in this. It's just like Wanda and Vision to me, where you know, they definitely were not my favorites before, and now they've really carved out a place in my heart.
Time, just giving him the time. That's
and
it.
Sam's sister is so great, and I think she plays off of him really, really, really well. Something that I want to say is I appreciate the heavy shit that this show is trying to tackle, and how it explores racism and how it explores inequality and you know, why people gravitate to extreme movements and where they're coming from. And it's just, you know, I appreciate that it's not just comic book fluff, that they're trying to say something.
Yeah. Ben, there's such a fine balance of like preachy or not.
Yes.
And like usually I'm on the side of, I give it the benefit of the doubt because at least it's like addressing it and having those conversations, you know?
Right.
And I thought here it was really well done. If it like, sure, maybe some of it was a little on the nose. Sure.
I felt that way, especially in the last episode. There were some moments where I was like,
sure.
There are also some amazing moments, but there are some moments where I was like, it feels like
a little heavy-handed.
Yeah, it feels like it's simplifying this like a little too much. Yeah.
Yeah. But for a mass market blockbuster to appeal to like the whole world, I thought like having that conversation and addressing it head on, I thought they did it really well.
I agree. I super agree. Yeah, there were moments, some very emotional moments that really hit me super hard. And I loved it. Like despite my complaints with the final episode, which I can't really get into here, I adored this show. And and this is how they get you, man. But like,
it's not
like any new thing where Sam and Bucky are in it. Like, I am so excited, man. I can't wait. I'll be there immediately.
When Wanda shows up again, it's going to be like awesome and scary. It's going to be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So I'm sorry that we danced around it so much, but we won't in the spoiler mode, which will be coming when we can get everybody together and talk about it. So look
that's
forward
good,
to
Ben,
that.
because I feel like sometimes by waiting for the spoiler mode and waiting for things, we kind of miss that initial.
We definitely do.
Initial thought.
We sure do.
You bringing it up.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like, obviously, even though we danced around it so hard, it was fun just getting to be excited with you and getting to gush a little bit. I think sometimes just basking in that energy is a good time.
Like, I don't give a shit. Bucky's arm is the coolest thing ever.
It's that is the best, and the knife flip is the best thing. Yeah. It's so I lose my goddamn mind when it happens. Love the knife flip that he does.
So cool. So cool.
Yes. Oh man, I feel like a kid again. Talking about this, and I love that. I love that so much. Brad, in preparation for Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village, you replayed Resident Evil 7, man.
Sure did, and some of the DLCs.
Biohazard.
Yeah, was this your first time with the DLC? Or had you played them before?
No. Actually, it was my first time playing Daughters. I didn't know like that it even existed until I think Mike told me about it.
Daughters?
Like,
so
Daughters.
I've done Not a Hero and The End of Zoe. I haven't done the other DLC.
Those are the two main ones, and then they have the banned footage volume 1 and 2. One of those banned footage entries is called Daughters, and it's a prequel of when Evelyn and Mia wash up.
Okay, I have not played that. I should play that. Okay.
Yeah,
really
it's pretty short.
It's really, really short. Really short.
Sorry. Huber just played through it too, actually. You did it on your own time, didn't you?
I did.
You played through it? Yeah.
Hubert, I'm joking, but like,
of course he did.
Are you not just always playing Resident Evil? You know what I mean?
Always on the side. Always on the side. What do you think of that, bro? There's 2 endings to that,
the dog. I looked at the second one. I got the quote unquote bad ending at first, but I did look it up and it was cool.
Cool.
Resident Evil 7 is such an interesting game, I feel like, in the Resident Evil scope. I mean, there's so many Resident Evil games, and like you could argue that so many of them are weird. And I think 7 stands out to me in a good way. It definitely has its own vibe, which I appreciate, and it has a soft spot in my heart because it kind of brought it back to what I and many other people love about Resident Evil, this sense of fear and dread and survival, just to bring it back. And it was a really nice revisit, and it reminded me kind of why I like that series when I was talking about the sense of fear and dread. And it's such a, like, I played some of RE6 with Huber, like, a month or 2 ago. We streamed it, and it just felt so refreshing to play that game again. Just its setup and like really how he was talking about taking its time, man. Like playing through that first section of the game is like really long, but it takes its time, it introduces you to everything, and just the sense. I think what I really like about this game is obviously the house, because I love Remake is my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. One is just because of the mansion, and this kind of invokes that same feeling I had for the game. It's got some problems. I think the molded enemies are kind of boring. After a while, there's not that many, and I think the game kind of goes off track at a certain part. But I still think it's a really special game, and I just love the vibe it brought to this this everyone says this Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe, you know, this fucked up family, you're trapped in this space and this family's trying to kill you. And I just think they did such a good job because it's like it's so small scale. It's so small. Going from 6, you know, you're fucking in China and shit's blowing up everywhere. There's a million zombies and like, zoop, you're back in a hallway and there's like one dude.
Yeah.
And he's a threat.
They definitely do, I think, kind of like blow the roof off at the end a little bit, but
Yes,
I agree.
they do.
I would say for the most part, it is very small. It is a good way to put it for sure. Brad.
And it's like, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's an interesting part. It's almost like a new beginning for the series.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
there's ties. There's ties to the original game if you're a fan, but this is a Resident Evil game. I feel like you can hop in and totally get a lot out of the story and the experience. I don't think it's bound necessarily to past events at all.
I think it's a great Resident Evil
yeah.
to play as your first one. Yeah.
Yes, on its own, the standalone story of Evelyn and the Bakers and Mia's connection to it all by itself is just so cool, so tragic, so interesting, mysterious, all those beats. But then also, the way that connects to the larger scale, you're not missing out on anything, but also that is freaking cool the way it connects.
The disappointment that I have with Resident Evil 7, and it's such a good game, and I'm going off of memory here, so Brad, you know, you just recently replayed through it. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I like the whole game, I do, but when I think about like what really gets those warm feelings going for me of Resident Evil 7 is the beginning. I think the kind of the first chunk is the best part.
Yeah, the beginning of the game is like the most terrifying.
It's definitely the most terrifying. Yeah. And I think just kind of those early interactions with the family are so memorable. You know, obviously there's the dinner scene, and then there's Jack Baker busted through the wall. Like that stuff to me is kind of like Resident Evil 7 at its absolute best. Yeah.
I think just when you leave the house, it kind of just it fumbles a bit, I think.
Yeah.
I think the house is the
Those
strongest part.
caves
I think it's
in VR were so cool.
There's some cool spots definitely later on that I don't want to talk about, but I definitely think, some of it stumbles. But Hubert brings up VR, and I think that's also a really special point of this game. Hubert, I know Hubert played the whole game in VR. I've played some of it, but it's such a different experience, and it absolutely must play or at least try if you have access to it.
Yeah,
like, to me, this game was made. They wanted to make VR was such a big part of this game. They really wanted to VR to be a huge driving force. Obviously, you could play not in VR and have a really good time. It works well, but I think VR is something special with this game.
It's hard, Brad, because I totally agree with you. I've dabbled with it in VR, and I thought it was incredible and terrifying. I really did. Like, it really got to me. I don't know that, and I feel like I kind of struggle with VR anyway. I don't know that just in terms of like motion sickness and things like that, I don't know that I could do the whole game. I'm super happy that I tried it out and I did get a lot out of that experience, but I don't know if I could do the whole game, even though like it sounds really appealing.
Yeah. It was a one and done for me. I was
sure,
like, do it
I
once.
get that.
Good.
Yeah.
Loved it though. Yeah. Because some of those environments are like kind of boring, not boring, but they're kind of whatever regularly.
Sure.
But like I will always for whatever reason I will just always remember like a cave in VR was like truly mind blowing.
As a first person game, you know, you just kind of get even more enthralled with everything and brought into that world.
I wish it was an option for Village. I wonder when the new PlayStation
Hopefully
VR comes
add
out if it will be added.
Yeah,
that would
I
be
really
really
hope
nice
they do.
to see.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
With 4 coming out, I feel like it's a high chance,
dude.
Village will be.
This is the wrong crowd to pose this question to because you guys are enablers, but I'm thinking about buying a Quest 2 for Resident Evil 4, and that's a stupid thing.
Will it ever come to other VRs?
I don't know.
Don't know. Ben, just borrow Jones's, man, when he's done.
Yeah, doesn't Jones have one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is nothing
Ben
against
likes to
Jones
own
or
it,
anyone. I do. I don't like borrowing stuff. I like
Hey
owning
man, you're
stuff.
I get
a
that.
grown adult and you can spend your money
I get
on what
that.
you want.
I know.
So,
It's just such a dumb. I don't know.
I don't know. Like if it brings you joy and you are happy with it, I don't see the problem.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll think about it some more. I can just be so impulsive with these things.
Sure, yeah, I understand.
Brad, there's a section late at the near the end of the game, that kind of last area, that we've talked about just being okay. Obviously, in relation, not as good as the Baker residence.
Mm-hmm.
But this playthrough for me, knowing that Village is coming on the horizon, so like looking at it through the lens of how this all connects, that ending section this time around was like some of the strongest for me. I loved it. Like that reveal and like that tonal shift and just like the way you realize like, oh, not everything is as it seems here. Like maybe,
Hubert, that's really interesting. Because it's on Game Pass, and so I started a playthrough on Xbox, and I was playing it with my wife, and I'm right at the like Mama Baker area, that section, and I'd be curious to see how the final area hits me this time. Be cool to
really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
I like the stories part of it and the intent of it. I do like. I just think the area itself is kind of boring and very samey.
Fuses
and I
and
feel
elevators.
I feel like it goes on too long.
Sure.
And you kind of retread a lot of the same ground. Like, it's a Resident Evil game. Of course you're going to do that. But I think you kind of do it in a way that I didn't find very exciting.
I get that.
I think Not a Hero also emphasizes this, where I think I enjoy fighting the molded the most, where it's like very close quarters, very like, how am I going to deal with this threat being very limited. Fighting a bunch of them, nah. Like
really awesome with Chris being able to punch him though.
That is
amazing.
Well, and
amazing.
And Joe Baker punching them.
Yeah.
Like that whole
definitely.
DLC is awesome. I do love that DLC, but yeah. Oh man. I don't know.
The one thing I like about the Chris DLC, Ben, is that there's actually more like enemy types in that DLC than the entire normal game. They introduced a few different types, which is nice.
It's been a long time since I played it. Maybe it's better than I remember it being. But I just
okay.
remember, in comparison to Into Zoe, I just like that one so much more.
Oh yeah, I think Into Zoe's better too.
You know what it was for one, Not a Hero was outsourced. The 7 team worked on End of Zoe, and Not a Hero was actually delayed a long time, and they ended up coming out together. End of Zoe and Not a Hero. They came out simultaneously.
Oh, okay.
So End of Zoe is so incredible, and who the hell is this person that we're playing as in Not a Hero? I know we know who it is, but really, who the hell is this person?
Right. Well,
So maybe that kind of like overshadowed a little bit of all that, because Ben, I did enjoy Not a Hero this time like 10 times more than I remember.
Wow,
I was like,
okay.
I remember
did
liking
enjoy
it
it more than I remember.
This
too.
time I was like, yeah,
Well,
like
I think-
Lucas in it is amazing.
I think part of the problem going into Naruto Hero and playing it at the time is like there was so much personal hype for like, dude, you're playing as Chris. You're playing as Chris. Like, and I think that was kind of a shadow over it as well.
Yeah, I get
100%.
Yeah.
Totally. Joe Baker. Will Joe Baker return in a Resident Evil game?
I don't think so.
I mean,
but I'd
he's
be
in
down.
Reverse. You know, if they keep doing,
Well, that's Jack.
or I'm sorry,
Jack is.
you're right, Joe.
Dude, if they put Joe in Reverse, I am
running
all
up
in.
punching people.
Yes.
Melee only character.
I mean, they could put him in, right? Like,
Hope so.
Into Zoe is such a good DLC because it's so weird. I feel like in a lot of ways.
oh, it's so weird. It's
Like-
so weird. Yeah.
Just like punching fucking things in a Resident Evil game sounds like
Yes.
really weird and goofy and like what I don't want it to be. It sounds like, but they
Yes.
really nailed it.
Sneaking around those gators, man.
Dude.
Yeah,
and Joe
like,
Baker's VO, his whole vibe of like,
yeah,
who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
just fucking making spears and shit and like suplexing stuff. It's so weird and like that's shit you do in Resident Evil 6, but it works here.
Yeah. Yeah. The item you get at the end? Insanity.
Yeah.
Brett, it sounds like you really enjoyed replaying Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Is this something, because Resident Evil games, to all of us, right? Like, it's so much fun revisiting them and dipping it back in, and they're so playable. Is this something where, like, a year from now, you'd be excited to go back in, post-Village and everything?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've beaten 7 on many times.
Oh,
So,
nice.
I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know if I'll go back in a year, but it's definitely a game I'd like to revisit for sure.
Cool.
Sick.
The last thing that we're going to talk about, I'm not going to go into detail too much, but hopefully I'll bring it up on another frame trap. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Final Fantasy XIV is super frustrating to me because, not because of the game itself, because of me. Back in the Heavensward days, I reviewed Heavensward and really loved Heavensward and really loved the game. But then, it just got away from me. And it's one of those games that I think about all the time. I think about it all the time. And I'm like, I just want to be playing it, and I'll dip back in for a little bit and then I'm out, and then I'll dip back in and then I'm out. And I'm really trying to commit this time and get caught up through Shadowbringers. And everybody, dude, has been talking about how amazing Shadowbringers is, like the best Final Fantasy and all that stuff that gets thrown around a lot. And so the fact that I was like, man, I still got to get through Stormblood was kind of a deterrent for me, because it's like, no one's talking about Stormblood. Everybody's talking about Shadowbringers. I am getting near the end of Stormblood now. I'm level 71, I think. And I'm really invested in the story of Stormblood. Like, I'm really enjoying it. And if this pales in comparison to the Shadowbringers, I can't wait. Because, I don't know if it's your influence or if it's just a change that I've made as I've gotten older, but I really enjoy getting invested in lore. And, there's a lot that I've forgotten from A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, but...
I'll take a little credit, Ben, but honestly, I think it's because really... shared universes and all of that is just so hot now.
Could be.
It's all about, like, I feel like everyone is chasing Avengers Assemble. Like,
Maybe,
everyone's chasing that moment.
But I'm really into this story, really enjoying it, and just having a good time. And I think 14... A complaint that I have with 14 is I feel like it takes a while for kind of the combat to blossom. But where I am now, I'm really enjoying my Black Mage so much, and I feel like as somebody who really gets into battle systems and gets really attached to them, I'm enjoying the management that I have to do with my character of keeping things up and, doing things within a certain amount of time. And then, there's the mechanics of the dungeons themselves. So I'm having a good time. A big reason why I'm really trying to get through this is the Nier raids look so awesome. I want to experience them so badly, and especially coming off of Nier Replicant. That's been a big driving motivator.
2 of them, and I know you will like them.
Cool. That's really good to hear. I'm excited.
You
I really don't know
them.
that much about them. So I know some things, but I'm excited to kind of just be surprised. And the Rathalos fight, I really want to do. But I'm really enjoying it, and it's getting me really excited for Endwalker, and I hope that, like, I can experience that with, like, you and Damiani and stuff, and just, like, be at a level where I'm finally caught up.
Yeah, it'd be
I'm
awesome
having a good
to have
time
you with us, man. Yeah, it's a lot of fun when you got friends to play with.
And I know people, this is common knowledge, but just in case, anyone doesn't know or they're MMO phobic or whatever, you could pretty much treat this like a single player game. Like, it has such a strong story and such strong characters that if that is something that is appealing about Final Fantasy to you, know that is without a doubt present in this game. A Realm Reborn is kind of a pain in the ass to get through, but once you sail through that, it's not so bad.
Yeah, they've made some tweaks to it too to make it a little shorter and easier.
Sure, sure.
I understand. I can't tell because I played it like in 2013, I think. When it came out, I mean, it's been shit like that.
Yeah, so like, my opinions on A Realm Reborn could be outdated. It's been forever since I played it.
I'm with you though, Ben. But like, I remember bits and pieces of those expansions, but like a lot of it I totally forgot.
Yeah, there was a character that just showed up at a cutscene. And I was like, "Oh yeah!" Like I vaguely remember seeing.
I saw you like 5 years ago.
Yeah. But no, I'm really enjoying it, and hope I can sink a bunch of time into it because I'm really having a good time. And what's the actual reason why I'm bringing it up now is I convinced my wife to make a character, so we both made little Lalafells, and I was really worried because. In terms of games that are overwhelming, like, especially for somebody that doesn't play games, you know, an MMO is at the absolute top of the list.
For sure, yeah.
And we're not far at all. I think we're like level 3, you know, just doing Gridania, like she's a Lancer and I rolled a Conjurer and we're just doing like guild quests and stuff like that. But
so jolly.
The reason why I want to bring it up is... She seems to be having a good time. It is a little overwhelming, but she seems to be having a good time. And part of that is coming from, it reminds me of like the first time that I played EverQuest or World of Warcraft, and getting to sort of relive those experiences through her has been phenomenal because she said to me, it's like, those are other people. Like she was just blown away by the fact that she's part of this world and like other people are online, you know, and it's like,
it's alive.
Yeah, I remember feeling that way as well. Like in the PSO days, like I was just so excited. Yeah, and it was so cool, and so it was awesome. Really, it's been a huge treat for me getting to see her experience that stuff. And she'll like run around and just like look at other people, right? Because this is all new to her, and just like seeing all the outfits and stuff, and that's really really cool. And you know, like sometimes she loses me in the crowd, and so I'll jump up and down, and she's like, "How do you jump?" And I'm like, "Hit triangle," and then she just like chuckles, and it's like this. I love this. Like I love that you're getting so much pleasure from these simple things.
Yeah, that's fun, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how Damiani feels when we play with him.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When Damiani gets to show us stuff.
Yeah, 14
Or he loves to throw me into boss fights and not tell me anything about them and just see me die and how I react to things.
Dude, I have to say one of the worst feelings, and it actually just happened to me in a dungeon. And it reminded me, like, okay, I should look up mechanics before going into a dungeon. But I was in a dungeon, and I didn't look up the mechanics ahead of time, and so I was going in fresh, and so I did a wrong thing, and I died. And, like, that's the worst feeling. Like, anytime you feel like you're letting people down...
I know that.
It
sucks.
feels miserable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's cool. I'm excited. I don't know if I'll be like
playing with
Damiani level.
No fear. I have no fear when I'm playing with Damiani.
Oh, I can imagine.
I feel like he's a fucking celebrity in that world, dude. One, he's a healer, so I don't feel bad if he has to res me.
Yeah.
Two, it seems like everyone knows him.
But I actually have like time to play 14 now, so I'm hoping I can.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Get into it. I feel like I've been kind of looking for a game to get kind of sucked into. So maybe they'll fit the bill.
That's a big game. Big investment.
What did you say?
Returnal, Ben, it's coming.
Returnal? Well, the thing is like Returnal has an ending, you know? Like this is like forever.
Yeah. Forever.
Yeah.
Forever MMO.
Forever MMO.
True. Second Life.
But it is time for the HOTTAKE. And with this panel, this HOTTAKE came to mind. I was like, this is the perfect HOTTAKE for this panel. So the Resident Evil demo rollout has been weird. Yeah, it's been really weird, extremely confusing, easy to forget about. So they did a maiden demo. And right now, they did a village demo, but it was only available on PlayStation for a very specific period of time. And then they did a castle demo where it was only available on PlayStation for a very specific period of time. And then they'll do the village and castle demo for all platforms. And it's a lot. And so I kind of wanted to dig into just not the quality of the demos themselves, but how this whole thing is being managed and what you think about it. Is it a good thing? Has it bothered you? Do you see this being, will other games kind of do rollouts like this? Is early access to things changing? All that sort of stuff.
Super weird. Did you see that they extended the final one coming up?
They did. No, I didn't see that.
So this is hot off the presses. They took the criticism and they are extending it. Instead of lasting for only 24 hours, it'll be by a week.
Oh, wow.
So it was going to be 24 hours. Now it's a week.
I think that's
so
the
now
right
you
call.
can play. Yes.
Are you still limited to 6?
But yeah, it is. So here's their tweet from Resident Evil Games Twitter. We've heard your feedback and are extending the availability period for the final 60-minute multi-platform Village demo.
Yeah.
The original 24-hour window, starting 5 p.m. on May 1st, has been increased by a week and now ends the same time on May 9th. So,
Huber, I had a very interesting experience with both Village and Castle, because when I played Village, this is a new fucking Resident Evil, man. I'm as excited as you could be. I want to get in there and explore and try new things. And boy, when it just cut me off after 30 minutes and pulled me out, I was like, no, like, come on.
So I like that part.
I
love only having a limited amount of time.
I don't like it.
I don't like what they did previously by having the demo just be like, you can only play it from this time to this time. Like, give me my 30-minute time, but let me just play it whenever, because like many people are complaining about, they have jobs, they have families, they have, they got kids, they got a lot of things to do to be kind of like hamstrung to this tiny little 8-hour window.
Well,
so yeah, that's pretty much my only complaint is like, if you're going to give us 30 minutes, just give us 30 minutes whenever.
For the Castle demo, based on my experience with the Village demo, I was like, dude, I gotta go. There's no time to read shit. Like, there's no time to explore. Like, I don't have that much time. And then I finished in like 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I wish I would have like explored a little bit more, And so when you don't know what you're getting into, it's hard to know how to approach it. And because you're so limited, and of course you can make other accounts, but like, I don't want to do that, man. Like, come on.
It's funny, Ben, that you rushed through, because for me, when I did it, I was like, hey, if we don't finish, so be it. I'm taking my knees. Like, I went in expecting not to finish the demos, and the Village one I didn't finish. Got to the end, time ran out, I was dying, I took some knees, so be it. So for the second one, the Castle, same thing. I was like, if we don't finish, we don't finish. I'm taking my time, and I'm just gonna go at my own pace.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's because I like the content of the demos, and I like that there was the main demo that was primarily just focused on atmosphere, and like the whole demo was taking a knee, extremely short, but about taking the knee. And then the Village gameplay felt very different from the Castle gameplay, but I just feel like it's like so chopped up in a needless way. Like, because if you look at the gameplay of what they allow you to experience in both the Village and the Castle demo, like, it's really not that much, I don't know that I feel the need to chop it up this way. I just don't get it.
Like, they could have ended the Village demo, fade to black, boot up the Castle demo, which is this one coming out now. It's now they're going to have the big, both of them together. On one hand, they didn't get it right, but there's something here. On one hand, I love theatrics. You know this. I love events. I love when things are special. This was manufactured to be special, but still there was something about having a countdown, especially with Twitch now. It felt like the whole world was waiting for this exact moment, and we were all experiencing together. And the best part about that is no info. Nobody has any answers, which is the best. We can stream a game a day after it comes out, and people will be in chat you missed something. Be careful on the next part. You gotta get this.
Yeah.
This is you shouldn't buy that. And it's like, there's no figuring anything out anymore.
Yes.
So I appreciated that this was like a mad dash of like, holy shit, there's creatures, there's time limit, nobody knows anything, nobody knows what's going on. So like that whole element I love.
Dude, people will be posting like 2-hour speedruns of Village like by May 14th, you know what I mean?
Easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
And on one hand, that's like really cool. Yeah.
The day after it's out.
On one hand, that's really cool, but I do agree. It does suck that there isn't, that things just get figured out so fast, man. Like it's too fast. I do want to bring up the Twitch thing. This is actually something I thought about. And I think from that perspective, with the way things work, I think now being part of the conversation and keeping yourself part of the conversation, it's so important now because you are lucky if you're part of the conversation for a week. And so if you can keep coming back, keep being a big deal, keep being excited. And I do think the way that they're splitting it up does accomplish that. I think it's really important. However, that's not how I would do it. It's not what I don't like the time. I feel limited. I feel, like, hey, if I'm going to stick to your schedule, give me a little bit more flexibility with how I appreciate this thing. Let me take a knee a little bit more. I really like when demos give you some very small, not game breaking or anything. Of course, I'm not talking about that, but like some reward for playing the demo. Like, here's this cosmetic thing that you can get or whatever. Like that gets me excited and motivated to play through in pre-release.
I liked the 7 demos so much more because they were separate. They were cryptic. They were like not really part of the main game. I know the environment was, but also Ben, if you did a bunch of weird things in one of those Village demos, you got a coin. You got an antique coin. So small, so minor.
But like feels good.
Just one.
Yeah. You won on those coins. Yeah. And I think Capcom can be very good at doing stuff like that. And so that is the sort of thing that I like to see as well. What do you think about like moving forward? Because I know Huber, this kind of feeds into conversations that we've had in the past of how pre-release works now. And like, don't get me wrong, I am extremely excited about Village. I've really enjoyed what I've played of the demos. But man, like in a way, like I'm kind of exhausted by like, I feel like in a way I'm like crawling towards Resident Evil Village just because there's been so much. Like there's been all these demos. They're having like individual Resident Evil showcases. It's just like, dude, I love it and I want to be there because I do care about Resident Evil so much. But like at a certain point, I'm also just like good and ready to go.
Pump the brakes, Capcom. I agree.
Do you think that's an issue?
I do. I think it's a little too much because it's like nothing. And then it's 0 to 100 in the last like month and a half of like just blowouts of like more. Show you this, show you that, show you this, and it's like we're all on board already. We're all on board. We're all playing Village.
Do you think that's true though? Do you think obviously because really I think when you look at Easy Allies, it's not most we're plugged in a way that I think most people are not.
True.
So do you think from that perspective, like this constant bombardment is reaching a wider audience outside of the super hardcore, super dedicated players?
You would think so, but also the time limit is kind of
exactly
opposite of that.
Great
like
point.
How are like normal gamers out there not checking IGN every day?
Yeah, I saw people being like, "Oh, I completely forgot that this was happening and I missed it." Yeah.
So weird. I would have done maybe one less demo because if you count this one coming up, that's both of them combined. I mean, that's 4. That's 4 plus
demos,
like 4 demos plus 2 showcases. Like,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I understand. It's probably a little more though because it's also the 25th anniversary or whatever, and they were kind of talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I do think there's too many demos. I honestly think they should have done maybe the main one and one, and that's about it. But just have no time limit, because like they're pretty fucking short and pretty limited in what you could actually do in them.
Yes,
so I don't really see
exactly.
the point of the time limit, but I don't know.
Yeah. Oh shit! What was I just gonna say?
The other thing that I want to say is, I think about kind of my response to the original reveal of Village, and it's like, yo, what is this? Like, there are werewolves, there are vampires. What does that symbol mean? And I was really excited, and of course, you have to take personal responsibility for this as well. I'm engaging with this stuff, but it felt very mysterious. Do you think kind of the way that they've been giving us information with demos and all this preview stuff, all of that, do you think it makes the game less special, less mysterious?
I've avoided the Game Informer blowout.
Same.
So I know that had a ton of info in there. I've seen just about everything else and played these demos, and I have like one or two theories, but really that's it. I have no idea what to expect still. No idea what's coming. I don't know how long this game is. I don't know. It feels like I know nothing, really. So I think they've done it right. They've nailed that. Because the people seeking out that Game Informer info too, like, that seems a little easier to avoid. I mean, I know a lot of people were kind of posting those bullet points, but like still a little easier to avoid in that sense.
So you think, and I honestly agree with you. You think the demos have done a good job of not leaning in too hard into what's going on.
Yeah, because I've been nervous about it, Ben. I've been really nervous about getting spoiled. And I think they've actually done a really good job. And also, we all kind of agree it's been a little too much. Maybe too many demos. But I still think at the end of the day, this will be the highest selling Resident Evil of all time. So like, I don't maybe necessarily like how much they've been doing, but like, it's gonna work. It's gonna pay off. This is poised. It's poised to be like Resident Evil 6 numbers.
Well, and the fact that it's cross-gen is
yes. So
and it feels like this game has everything going for it right now. It seems like everyone's excited for this game, and even just like, this may seem dumb, but even just people being obsessed with Lady Dimitrescu or whatever.
Yeah,
like that just builds excitement and. Dimitres? Yeah, it's not Dimitrescu, Dimitres.
Yeah, Ethan says it like that, and the people were saying that Ethan Winters in the game is saying it wrong. So who knows?
I don't know. I say it wrong every time. But
I'm just confused on it, that's all.
I just think it has like that hype train going, which sounds silly but can be a powerful thing. Especially with the FOMO going out there,
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about this game. Everyone's playing this game. Why am I not excited for this game? Oh, maybe I should check this out. Everyone's talking about it.
Dude, I think that's so true, Brad. And this is kind of pivoting the HOTTAKE in a way, but I think it's a really good point to bring up. Because I think Tall Vampire Lady is awesome. I really do. I like her a lot. I think she's really cool. Love her design. I'm kind of over the tall vampire memes. Like, I think, like, and that's the thing, we talked about, like, things being figured out so immediately. And I think just being, like, a very online person, it's just, like, you see, like, when people go hard on something, they go so hard and there's so many of them that, like, it's just less interesting, and it gets less interesting very quickly.
Yeah, I think it's less interesting now, but I think at the time, that built up a lot of momentum that's probably
absolutely
in the favor of RE7 or 8.
Brad, I think you're...
we've heard about it, like, there's so many things about her and everything like that, which is fine. I get people are excited, but I still think just weird things like that help a game. It's like marketing in a way. Well, it is marketing,
Dude,
it's like people talking about your game.
Yes, it has such a power to it, and I do think that it is giving so much
community
to that game. Like, I think 2B's character design helped Thomason out tremendously.
Oh, yes.
So I definitely see what you're saying, but in a way, that kind of worries me. Like, just being the cynical side of me is like, it doesn't work if companies try to force it in an awkward way. Like if they try to.
Well, that's. Ben, that's what I love. To cut you off, that's what I love, because this, and I remember Jones saying, like, They didn't know how big this was going to be and how popular
that's when
she
it's
would
magical,
be.
you know. That's what I mean. Is like, but I'm saying like, I don't want some other company, you know, that's not Capcom to be like, look at this tall vampire lady we put in the game, and it's just gonna feel so gross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And forced. That's what I'm referring to. Don't know if that's gonna happen. Just hypothetically.
I just want to know who she is, dude.
Yeah.
Who are you? How are you connected
You'll find
to
out.
Resident Evil?
Dude, when she like flips her desk, man. Yeah. This is gonna be a good game. You know what's so awesome, and I feel like we don't get very often. You know, because we're just 8 people. It's a lot of stuff to play, and I feel like, you know, we're okay. We kind of go off into our own corners of games, and that's good as well. But the fact that all of us are gonna play this fucking game, dude, I love that. It's so much more fun.
It's the best.
There's rare cases like that, but they are special times.
Yeah, definitely.
My only paranoia, my only doubt, is because of Resident Evil 3 Remake. The Raccoon City demo ended up being like all of Raccoon City. So there is a little bit of paranoia, a little bit of doubt of like, how much bigger is the village? How much bigger is the castle? Like, is this so I'm kind of, you know, keeping my hand up for defense, dude.
Yeah,
I don't want to be burned.
I get that, and I think that level. I think going in with some reservations and skepticism is healthy. Mentally, for me, I'm comparing it more to 7 and that experience versus Remake 2 and Remake 3. But yeah, you never know. I have a lot of confidence in this game, but maybe it'll be disappointing. But the thing is like
same.
Like, I don't think Resident Evil 3 Remake is as good as Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I still had a really good time, you know?
Yeah, same.
Love
it. Yeah.
Love it.
Are we ready for some emails? All right, our first email comes in. Boy, the episodes with you guys, they're so much fun. First email comes in from Wesley. Good morning, Ben. Sorry, no, that's not part of it. He had 2 questions, and he's just explaining that I pick one. So, hello, Ben and Allies. It's unfortunate that video game series tend to become overextended and in many cases run into the ground with too many sequels and numerous iterations, which often ultimately detracts from what made the series great in the first place. I often find myself wishing that game series were left with 1 or 2 good to great entries and then shelved for a time to avoid getting too long in the tooth. So my question to you, which long-running game series do you feel needs to be put out to pasture? I'd love to get your takes on which popular gaming IPs need to say goodbye for the long term. Thanks for reading my question, if you do, and stay easy, fellow allies. I got a couple.
Tough question.
To kick us off.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Tough question.
Metal Gear Solid's my favorite gaming series ever. I don't need another one.
Nope.
I think it's
Kill it,
I'm not saying that it couldn't come back and be cool. It could, maybe. But I feel like they've told the story that they need to tell. And I've had really great memories with it. It's okay. Don't force it, is what I'm saying. Don't force it.
Only thing I would want, aside from remasters, obviously, are director's cut of Phantom Pain.
Sure.
The missing chapters.
Yes.
That's the only thing I would take.
I don't think
dude.
that will ever happen, but if it did, it would be really cool. Yeah, I agree. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
What about if that rumor remake is true for Solid? Are you into that?
I am maybe super into that. I mean, the rumor, right, Blue Point remaking Metal Gear Solid. I have a lot of faith in Blue Point, right? They've done incredible work. But Metal Gear Solid is my favorite game, and so I am more stubborn about it than I am with other things. I am not a big fan of the Twin Snakes. I don't like the re-recorded dialogue. I don't like the extended cutscenes. I don't like the first-person gameplay editions. I'm somebody that thinks Metal Gear Solid 1 holds up perfectly fine.
Perfect.
And you can play it and love it now, but I am not the general audience for Metal Gear Solid 1. I definitely know people play the PS1 version and are not into it or think it controls bad or whatever. So I would be nervous but of course I'd play it,
A Metal Gear remake would excite me more.
Yeah, I would like that too. I actually have not played through OG Metal Gear 1 and 2. So that would be cool. I would be way into that. Yeah. Another series that I would be okay with, like, at the very least taking a break, despite consistently enjoying it even now, is Call of Duty. In a way, it's kind of diminishing returns to me. Like, even when I'm having a good time, it's like kind of a good time that I've had before. And, when I jump back into it, whether it's the campaign or multiplayer or zombies or whatever it is, it's like, I feel like I've been here before in a way. And I still have a lot of love for it. And I played so much, Modern Warfare 1 and 2 and had a lot of good times with those games. But just take a break, man.
Yeah, you got to do what I do, man, and not play one every 4 years. That's about it.
I am a little spotty with how I play Call of Duty. What's up?
This is gonna hurt everyone's soul.
Oh,
Yakuza needs a shakeup, a big one.
I don't know that I agree with that.
7 for me felt like going through the motions.
Man,
I don't know. It's just been so much of the same lately.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, it reduces the excitement a little bit when it becomes this every year thing. And it's even 7 with new combat, it was still hitting the beats. This character is not who they seem. Now we're going to have a heart to heart. It's always the same format.
I definitely think there is truth in what you're saying. And I do think there are certain... it's funny, you say, this person is not who they seem. It's just every fucking time that
double cross.
And I think what a -27 is that I really love that they did switch genres, but I don't think the combat was robust enough to carry throughout the entire game. Where I disagree is the way that they, with Judgment and with 7, I'm really attached to both of those new casts. And I think they're phenomenal. And I love those characters. And so that has made it work for me and made it exciting for me. But I definitely think there is truth to what you're saying, and that they could shake it up even more. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because I feel like with 6, it's kind of the culmination, if you will, and kind of just this point, this ending point, if you will. And it's Judgment and 7 kind of had to start from the beginning, fresh, but they also felt so similar. So it was this weird fresh start. I'm not fully attached, but then it also feels super similar.
Well, and I think for both of those games...
Which I ended up loving, like you said, I ended up loving both of those casts, but...
I think for both of those games, the weaker parts are some of the newest things. So in Judgment, tailing people got really old, and some of the investigation stuff you were doing got really old. And it's I think there's something here, and I definitely like where your head is at with introducing these things, but they could definitely be expanded upon. So hopefully in the Judgment sequel, they can do that.
You know what? I just realized, Ben, that where this is all coming from? One thing. Sub-stories.
Yeah.
The sub-stories used to surprise me. They used to make me tear up. And then now I know what's coming. I know it's going to be some comical shit.
Yeah.
Or some you've changed my life. I'm going to go change my life. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those same kind of slice of life beats.
Yeah.
They don't have as much weight because we've been doing them so much these last couple of years.
It's hard because thinking back to my experience with 7, right? I think the sub-stories are really well done. And I love the stories in them. But you're right that it's it's a Yakuza game. I know the sub-stories are going to be really good. I know that they're going to get wild and weird and all that. On some level, yeah. So I think they need to keep the quality, but maybe reconfigure how that stuff is presented to you, how you go through it. Add some surprise in terms of structure.
Totally.
Yeah, I think they add some surprises though, in especially like mini games, like the go-kart shit in 7 was really sick. I really loved the can thing. Yes, the story it can feel familiar at times, but I don't know. I still kind of enjoy it. I do think it would be nice super to do something different though, for sure. Yeah. I'm not sure what it'd be. I think the combat in the turn-based or the combat 7, I think is an interesting way to go, and I appreciate it. I hope they can tune it up even better, like Ben was saying.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like side stories, it's really hard to make them always feel fresh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Because there has been a lot, and like I think about like a lot of games with side quests, and I feel like I've done side quests like in a lot of those games, even if I really like them a million times in so many cases.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Brad, that it is hard, and I think you're super on point with what you're saying. I also just have so much faith in that Yakuza team that I feel like I could say something like that and be like I trust you guys. I believe that you can make this great thing even better.
But I do think there's been a rapid succession of Yakuza games or type games even, like, but for me, I've been catching up on them, so I've been playing a lot of them. But for you, Huber, I know 6 came out years ago, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And like 7 just came out last year, so it's been a couple of years.
But like 1 and 2 on PS2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 0,
but I'm
Kiwami
saying,
1, Kiwami 2, those are 7. It's like
they're like in between new entries, though. I guess proper entries, there is a gap. There is things you can do on the side, I guess. Like, yes, Judgment is super similar, but it's technically a different. It's like a side game, I guess, technically.
Mm-hmm.
But totally. I don't know.
I think
just remember to everyone out there, like, criticism, Ben, you get into this all the time. I know you do.
Yeah.
Criticism is not hate.
Yeah,
true.
You can criticize and want something to be better. I still think Yakuza's a 10 out of 10. Everyone knows.
Dude, it's amazing. It's amazing the kind of comments you get when you throw any sort of criticism at something. It's like, come on, like,
it's not hate.
Do you really think we don't love Yakuza at this point?
Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway,
I wonder if.
Sorry, real quick.
I wonder if Ishin is coming over.
Here, I'm really excited for the follow-up to 7 because I'm excited to see how they build off the battle system and what they add to, because I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. And another thing that
I think if the battle system had been a little better, then I would have felt differently.
Totally. Sure. Something that I really love in 7, and I want to see them continue and even elaborate on a little bit, is I love going to the bar. I love the individual stories and interacting with them.
The bonds.
I think, and that was something, and I said it in my review of 7, is I love how well they emphasize the core cast and how together kind of they felt. It didn't just feel like one person's story. I loved that. I really think you could do like a full blown, and they've like kind of dabbled in this, I feel like, but I like a full blown like confidant social link system with the cast.
It seems like they're toying with it.
Yeah, like maybe even like you have to, like, if you want this person in your party, dude, like you've got to work for it or get like certain steps up a certain way or whatever.
I mean, they kind of did that in 7.
Yeah, they did.
One party member you got to do, but like really going for it now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Brad. I just mean like leaning into that even harder, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think there's definitely room to do stuff like that.
Totally.
All right. On to the...
They got the clout now. We'll see what they do next.
Yeah. I have a lot of faith. Next email comes in from Marcin. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Shadows of Game Preservation. Hi, Ben and Allies. A recent discussion about game preservation or lack thereof on the Easy Allies podcast and a discussion about games like GoldenEye and the N64 got me in the mood to buy some games for the N64 I either lost when lending it to someone or which I never had myself. I was massively surprised to see games like Donkey Kong 64, Majora's Mask, GoldenEye, and even Conker's Bad Fur Day available for around $36 on eBay, just to realize that the cartridges are fully functioning Chinese replicas. Games like a real copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day, on the other hand, are being sold for around $604. So my question to you is, obviously these Chinese knockoffs are pirated copies of the game, but how do you feel about someone buying them, as we are lacking an official way to get those games without spending more than a next-gen console's worth? I'm not going to spend a fortune just to dip into the nostalgia well, but I'm still on the fence about these replicas. How do you feel about it?
I mean, only you know your financial situation, but if you are a passionate collector and the only way to buy something is third party, what do? So be it. But again, only you know your financial situation. But I mean, if there's no way to buy, like if you give Joe $500 for an authentic Conker's Bad Fur Day, or China $30, like either Joe or China's getting your money, but not the makers of Conker's Bad Fur Day, right?
Right.
So
the way that I feel
Nintendo's
about
not
it,
getting any money.
yeah.
the way that I feel about it is I love so many games and I love collecting, but I am not a purist in the sense that like I don't necessarily care about having like the original copy of a game. I just want a copy of the game that I can access and play and enjoy. So whether that's a good re-release or a knockoff or whatever it is, like as long as I can play the game as it was intended on some level, you know, that's enough for me. And people complain about there being re-releases all the time, but I love when it's like, dude, like I don't have to hook up my PS2 to play this? Hell yeah. Or like, you know, I don't have to go on eBay and search for a copy? Hell yeah. Because I run into a situation all the time. I was just trying to get the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, and it's like I have to buy, you know, a 360 or PS3 copy. Like I can't.
I have them. You want them? You want to borrow?
No, I got them. I did. I went on eBay and bought them, but they weren't that much money. But what I'm saying is, I hate those situations where it's like I can't just open up one of the gazillion online stores and download it.
Totally. Yeah. It's. I say you do what you got to do now for older games, because internet era, like 360 PS3, you know, PS2 back, even though PS2 had online, PS2 back, like those games are at risk. Those are the ones at risk. The ones that they weren't on digital. You know, like NES games, so many NES games lost to time, like
dude,
Super Nintendo, like so many. So unless the big companies somehow take action and salvage those digitally or re-release physical copies somehow, like the odds are not very good. But unless that happens, like either knockoffs or emulators are
emulation,
it's the only thing you can really do. So like morally, I don't see a problem with it. And this is coming from someone who never really downloaded music. I don't download movies illegally. That's not my style. But I still think in this case, when it's really the only option you have, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I prefer playing not emulation if I can play on actual hardware. It's just a preference that I have. But like sometimes, if you do not have that option, it's just they don't give it to you. It's hard, you know. It's hard because, and man, I'm getting really worried about old games because I wanted to play Dragon Guard on PS2, and my PS2 is just not reading my controllers anymore. It's just super fucking old.
Yeah, my PS3 is botched.
Yeah, and so it's like I went on eBay and I got another PS2, but it's like these things are on a timeline, man. Like they're not going to last forever.
Truly, man. PS3 has so many games held hostage. It's insane.
Dude, they almost shut down the store.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always try to, if I can, I always try to support the developers and everything like that. Of
course.
Totally. Games. But, I mean, you can't all the time. It's just a thing. And it's up to you and your own discretion to figure it out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I think about, like, how a lot of music, you could just get on anything, no matter how old the album is, Yeah. Like, I can get the fucking Beatles on anything if I wanted, or something like that, But with video games, it's like a way more complicated thing, You gotta... Maybe you can't buy it on that system. Maybe it doesn't even fucking work on the modern systems.
There are instances...
There's always, like, a loopholes or dances you gotta do for it.
There are instances where it's way harder than it should be.
Yeah. But, like...
Too many...
I wish I could buy on modern hardware, like a modern thing. I wish I could buy the original Star Wars movies, not special edition.
Oh my god, dude.
The theatrical.
Yes.
I wish I could buy those. I'd buy those in a heartbeat, but I fucking can't.
Yep. Hey, we didn't make them, Brad.
Watching like the Disney Plus versions is so infuriating. Some of that CG is...
It bums me out, some of that shit. Like, I got no problem with them existing. I'm totally cool with it, but I just wish I could buy the OG versions. That's
Give us the option.
Just give me the option, baby.
Lucas's intent is real, dude.
Yeah, it is real.
Holy shit.
George Lucas went out of control, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Our last email is a really fun one.
Ooh.
We're going to have a good time with this. There's quite a few, so we can't spend too terribly long talking about all of them, but this comes in from Umair. Again, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hey, Ben and Allies. I've been fasting for Ramadan recently, and of course, the one thing I can't stop thinking about is food. But I've also been thinking a lot about JRPGs. If a JRPG series was a food or type of food, what type would it be? For example, Dragon Quest is a nice home-cooked meal. Totally. It's warm and cozy. Has a nostalgic feeling to it. Final Fantasy is like pizza. Everyone has their own preferences. Turn-based and action-based is basically deep dish versus New York style. This is so creative and good. And it's a series that has a lot of things that are in some entries that are completely removed from others, a la toppings. Everyone has their own HOTTAKEs on both. So I've listed some JRPG series for you guys to come up with and their food equivalents and why you think it fits.
Quick shout out to Ramadan. When I worked in restaurants, it was always so fun because they would come in fasting and they can eat like right when the sun goes down. So they'd like give you the order and be like, all right, like as soon as the sun goes down, like bring it out. So it'd be just like this waiting game of like just waiting for this.
Feels like a lot of pressure, dude.
Yeah, it's like, all right, feast, let's go. So you bring it out and it's just like, all right, feast time, let's go. It's fun.
The first one we have is Persona.
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 Ramen. It's
Why?
ramen.
Why is it ramen?
Because it's layered, it's textured, it's filling noodles, but also warm, comforting broth, Ben. I think you know a little bit about noodles and broth. And I think Persona highlights that.
I think Huber, I think that's well said. I think it's accessible yet satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Like ramen, even really good ramen, is not expensive, but like I feel like way better after I eat really good ramen than I do like fast food.
Oh my god,
yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well done. Brad, if you disagree or have any other opinions.
No, I think that's a good pick.
All right, Shin Megami Tensei proper. So if Persona is ramen, I'm going to say like Shin Megami Tensei is like really spicy food.
That's what my head was going to. Some inferno.
You need a good palate for that shit.
Yeah.
I feel like.
You gotta make sure
it's
you
not
bring some
level.
water, some milk.
Habanero peppers, just straight up, is Shin Megami Tensei.
Buckle up and eat those peppers, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. The Tales series.
Ooh, Tales games. Crackers?
Some crackers. Yeah.
Crackers? Why
I'm gonna give it more
crackers? Like, it's good sometimes. not all the time. Like sometimes I'm in the mood for some crackers, but also it's like kind of empty calories.
It's funny because like
but
I'm never in the
also
mood for
like
crackers.
but also some crackers are a 10 out of 10, but like really it's just empty calories and it's like kind of the same thing every time. Sorry, Tails fans, you're coming at me. That was for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I need to give it more than that. I agree with you on some levels, for sure.
Yeah,
I think what I just almost said is too harsh, but
I'm with you, Brett. I
was playing it. I was hamming it up for the Tails fans.
Right.
I was hamming it up.
I think there's some truth to what you're saying, but I have more affinity for it than that.
All right, I got one. Hear me out. Not necessarily just a food. It's fucking McDonald's to me, okay?
I was actually thinking that too, but then I'm like, that sounds really insulting, but kind of
no.
There is
also,
some things I really like about it. I really
Yes.
like chicken nuggets at McDonald's. I really like. There's a lot going on. It's predictable most of the time. You know what you're getting, but there's some shit I'm not fucking with there. You know, I ain't getting a fish fillet or anything like that.
Dude, I love fish fillets. Yeah,
but
Brett,
I'm saying,
with
but
you.
like,
I
I'm
don't
not saying
think
in
it's
a
like
bad way at all.
I don't think it's like the best of the best, but like I'll
Right.
fuck with some McDonald's. You know,
Exactly.
Like, sometimes
exactly.
McDonald's,
You know,
sometimes
like
McDonald's is
McDonald's-
exactly what you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Fire Emblem.
Yo, Tales of Arise looks great.
It does. It does look great.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem.
They're
Emblem.
upgrading the menu, beefing that menu up.
It's
new
like,
ingredients.
oh, dude, you know, like how McDonald's does like the like artisan burgers. That's
Yeah,
Tales
they're
of
trying
Arise,
to-
man.
The art, yeah, stepping it up, artisan
Yeah.
style.
Yeah. Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
I
Fire Emblem,
There's
dude,
a
is like a
perfect
fucking.
answer.
It's an 8-foot long sub sandwich to me, dude. It's
Interesting.
just a fucking beast, but it's good.
so intimidating.
It's
Yeah,
not,
I'm trying to think
though.
of like the biggest possible meal that I'll never finish.
Dude,
Whatever that
Huber,
is, it's Fire
It's
Emblem.
less intimidating than you think it is. I swear. To me, Fire Emblem is like really fancy candy.
Ooh.
Because, you know,
Like high chews?
well, like especially like, you think High Chews is really fancy candy?
They're fancy. Dude, any candy bin that has a wrapper inside of a wrapper, like you pull this out and you have to unwrap that, that's fancy.
But I'm
Starburst?
thinking of like going into like a candy like
Starburst is
specialty
fancy.
shop. But I think we're like getting to the same point essentially. Like especially modern day Fire Emblem, so much of it is like I like this character, I don't like this character, and relationships and all that stuff. And it's like different flavors of candy. You know, you got your grapes, you got your limes,
It's
you
a
got
box of
your
chocolates,
strawberry.
man.
Yeah,
You like some
yeah.
of the chocolates in there,
Yeah,
but sometimes
yeah,
you don't have
yeah.
all of them unless
It's
you're
a-
Mike.
It's a box of chocolate.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Bravely,
That's the number one game I want to play, man.
dude, you'd
gotta
love
do
it. I like.
I know.
Listen, man, I
know.
hate.
It'll hurt forever. I need to play it.
I fucking hate game guilt and people pressuring you to play a game because you just feel so
no,
bad.
this one is deserved,
No.
dude. I know.
Because I know
will
how it is.
love
Like, I literally spend my entire life playing games, and there's like so much that I want to play and all that stuff. It drives me insane. And then when people are on your case about it, you just feel even worse. So I get it. No pressure, dude. Not trying to make you feel bad. I just really think you'd like it, and I think it's less intimidating than you think it is.
What the fuck?
But no pressure.
Why haven't you played that game?
I should do it
Pressure's
after God
on.
of War. Someone just stream it.
Yeah,
it
just
should be
stream
my
it. Chat would
stream
go
game.
nuts, dude. They'd love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
we
long
should
stream
stream it.
game if you try to beat it all. But just stream some of it.
Yeah. Get my feet
Get
wet.
your feet wet, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. And if you have
seal.
questions, chat will help you out, dude.
Yeah, it's good.
Bravely Default.
Oh, Bravely Default. What is the most just like basic comfort food I could think
That's
of?
what I was thinking. I was thinking like that home cooked meal that you like grew up with. Like that's what it is. It's like mashed potatoes, dude. It's like mashed potatoes.
Yeah, that or like
Mashed
it's like
potatoes.
spaghetti, dude.
yeah, spaghetti. Like some really satisfying basic food that reminds you of the past.
Don't let it get cold though, because it's
Eat
not
it
as
up.
good. So you gotta
Eat
eat
it
it
quick.
quick. You gotta eat it and enjoy it, and then move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't 2 like not liked? I don't know.
I like
Everyone
2.
not
I mean,
like
I'm not
2?
finished with
Maybe
2, but
I like
I'm
2.
actually like 2 is one of those ones that I'm like, oh, I'm excited to go back
gave
to
it
it at
an
some
8.
point.
Sure.
Yeah.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, I missed that review. I think I was doing Outriders, Brad.
Huber, I think they just take so long to get through. Like, it's going to...
How long ago was that?
What? Brave Default 2?
How long ago was...
A couple months
I
ago.
think Brave Default came out in like March, I think. Or February?
March, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think you're just dicking around. I'm just kidding.
What were you going to say, Ben?
Well, your comparison of like don't let it get cold. It's like it takes so long to get through. Like it's, like it's a meal that you are eating for a long time.
Gotta go
Put
fast.
it under the heat lamp.
Suikoden.
Ooh.
Ooh, I don't have a lot of experience with this game, so I don't really know. Or these
Yeah,
games.
so I've played through 1 and 2, and they're wonderful. And if you can ever play them, play them.
But I don't know. I know 1 and 2 are really beloved, but I don't know about 3.
I think
And
3
I
is
think
like
there's
4
maybe
is not as
4.
liked as much.
Then there's like tactics or some shit. I don't know. There's a lot.
there's 5 main entries. There's tactics. Yeah.
I'll leave
I
this
think
to you.
Suikoden is like a buffet. So a big part, an essential part of Suikoden is building out your base and getting, all the characters. And there's so many characters that you recruit and you have to, convince them to come. And so that it's one of the best parts about it is just seeing that come to life. And I think of like a buffet and all the different things and you can pick what you want.
I haven't been on a buffet in so long.
I haven't either.
Same.
So many years, dude.
Not COVID safe.
During the game trailer days,
No, of course not.
Damiani and I would go to this Chinese buffet that was really fun.
Dude.
Not fun. I mean, it was good.
Nice.
Fun is the wrong word, but
Dude, buffets are fun.
okay.
Load up.
right.
Load up. Splurge.
Yeah.
Go nuts.
This one is really good, and I got some things to say about this one. Pokemon.
Okay. Pokemon, okay, hear me out. I have a very specific weird thing. Okay. I know people loved it. People love it, and it just ain't for me. It's fucking like it's seafood, man. I don't like it, but people love it. It's like a fucking salmon or some shit. Cooked salmon.
Perfect. You're so perfect, Brad.
I
Brad,
wish
that's
I
the
liked
best.
it.
That's
I've
the
tried.
winner of tonight.
Well,
But
see,
it
I have
just
a very
doesn't
different
click for me.
opinion of it than you guys, because
I love that.
I really like Pokemon.
And not all sushi and not all fish and sushi are made equal. Like some is amazing.
True.
And, dude, bad fish, bad sushi.
Bad sushi is the worst.
disgusting.
Yeah, bad sushi is the worst. Pokemon to me is like fruit by the foot or like bubble tape, like stuff that like I used to love and get me really excited. Like I want to love Pokemon as much as I did back in the day.
This one is good too. This is
And,
so
like,
good.
It used to be everything to me, and
and now you have a fruit by the foot.
I mean, I still enjoy it, right? Like I still get something out of it. I played through all of Sun. I played through all of Shield, or I don't remember which one I played, but I played through all of it, and I got something out of it. I enjoyed it, but it didn't captivate me the way that it used to, and I wish it did. I want it to so bad. And that happens.
I agree with
sometimes.
both of those.
Yeah, Brad.
Is
I
it
think
like
I
Mountain
think for
Dew
you
flavors?
Sure, that's a good one too.
It kind of peaked with a couple, Got your regular one maybe, and your Baja Blast. Then a new one comes out that's just not as good. Like there's some good ones, I know you love Code Red, but
Yeah.
sometimes you just have them, you're like, eh.
I mean, I don't love Code Red as much as I still think it's very good, but I don't love it as much as I used to, so that would work. But I don't like regular soda as much as I used to either, so. There are many more of these, and this is really good. I love this question, but let's just do one more.
Okay.
Let's do Kingdom Hearts.
Steak dinner, baby.
Steak dinner.
Full course meal the whole way through. An appetizer salad, shrimp cocktail, steak, mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans, soda, beer, wine, all of it. All of
Beer
it.
and wine.
This is a Thanksgiving feast.
Okay. I think you hit it. I think Thanksgiving feast.
Yes.
Once you go down the Kingdom Hearts rabbit hole, you feel like you do after a Thanksgiving feast. You're just like,
Yes.
Let me die.
It's all about family. You dedicate your entire existence to it. When you're playing Kingdom Hearts, you are Kingdom Hearts.
Dude, Huber, you fucking crushed it. That's perfect.
It reminds me, I'm trying to think of something that I would eat that I liked, but was kind of weird. And I was like, huh, that was kind of weird, but I like it.
That's kind of where my headspace was. Yeah.
The Kingdom Hearts is weird as fuck, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like a weird new taco at Taco Bell. You're like, oh, that was weird, but
it's like when you have a style of food that you never have before, and like you look at the menu and you're like, what the hell is going on? But you're down for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the Thanksgiving feast is also
Thanksgiving
very, very
dinner,
good. Yeah. That is going to do it for this episode of Frame Trap. I had a blast, gentlemen. I really liked this episode.
Me too.
Very, very fun. If you would like to send in an email to Frametrap, the address is askeasyallies@gmail.com. One more time, that is askeasyallies@gmail.com. It will also be in the description. And hey, if you like this show, if you like us, we need your support to make it happen. So please consider going to patreon.com/easyallies, and anything that you can give definitely helps us out, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much to all of our fans. And yeah, until next time.